And service delivery remains our priority, with funds recovered through improved collections and cost containment directed toward protecting water, electricity, waste and public safety services.
At the same time, Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Cooperative Governance has welcomed the intent behind Treasury's announcement to temporarily withhold the July 2026 equitable share transfers to those 69 municipalities. Committee Chairperson Dr. Zweli Mkhize has urged the affected municipalities, including Johannesburg, to urgently comply with the conditions set by Treasury. Yesterday, Treasury announced that it would be temporarily withdrawing those funds over continued poor financial management and non-compliance with legislation. Babalondenze takes a look.
The COGTA committee says municipalities must act immediately so that funds can be released and not translate into further hardship for communities. Among the municipalities affected are both metros in the Eastern Cape and several other local municipalities across the country. Committee Chairperson Dr. Zweli Mkhize noted that Treasury's decision confirms the seriousness of the financial management and governance challenges highlighted during joint oversight engagements. Mkhize said the committee has consistently raised concerns about poor audit outcomes and the failure of some municipalities to act, despite guidance and support provided to them.
Poor audit outcomes, unfunded budgets, repeat findings, irregular expenditure, weak consequence management cannot be allowed to continue as if they have no impact on people's lives.
National Treasury said today that the transfers will resume once affected municipalities meet the required conditions and submit proper proof of compliance. Babalondenze, Eyewitness News.
Health Minister Aaron Motsoaledi has slammed some austerity measures imposed by Treasury, saying they prevent the Department of Health from functioning optimally. Motsoaledi says this has a knock-on effect on operations, and it's also a major contributor to the well-being challenges faced by healthcare workers. He was briefing media alongside the Health Ombudsman in Pretoria today. This is where the Health Ombud, Professor Taule Mokoena, released a report into the deaths of 4 medical professionals in KZN last year. Although that report has cleared KZN hospitals of any wrongdoing, Motsoaledi says more still needs to be done to safeguard the well-being of all healthcare workers.
Austerity, austerity, austerity. And we said in the same way that corruption that happens in the public service, which we are busy fighting every day, is not a victimless crime. But I must also state that austerity is also not a victimless occurrence. It victimizes the public, especially those who use the public healthcare system.
Self-proclaimed political fixer Brown Mokgotsi is taking his bail bid to the High Court after losing twice in the Johannesburg Regional Court. His lawyer argues that the magistrate misdirected herself in applying the law governing the granting of bail. Mokgotsi was refused bail after the court found that the home addresses he provided could not be verified. He was arrested in May this year in connection with allegedly orchestrating his own alleged hit last year. Dimakatsole Shoro has more.
Mokgotsi's attorney Makao Sekhacha says he expects the High Court to reach a different conclusion, adding there was no basis for the lower court to refuse his client bail.
Address has been verified. Brown Mokgotsi is not a flight risk. The investigating officer has been to the address, confirmed that that particular address exists. So on what basis, actually, that should be the question, was the magistrate refusing bail when the address is actually verified?
Sakhacha says while the defence's ultimate aim is to have Mokgotsi acquitted, it is equally important to secure his release on bail, as the trial could take a long time to conclude.
He has a business which, as the head of the family, he is running that particular business. Now, you can just imagine that that particular business is not doing so well now.
Mokgotsi remains in custody, facing charges of defeating the ends of justice, perjury, and the unlawful possession of a firearm and ammunition. Dimakatsole Shoro, Eyewitness News, Johannesburg.
And in Norway, police have confirmed the arrest of 28 men across 7 countries in connection with child sexual exploitation. Authorities conducted an operation targeting buyers of material depicting sexual abuse of children. It's understood the men used cryptocurrency Monero to pay for access to several forums on the dark web. Officials say more arrests are expected, potentially in additional countries. The agency said that, noting there were many suspects in this matter, The operation also led to the seizure of more than 460 items, including electronic devices, crypto wallets, drugs, and large quantities of doping substances. Gold is trading at $4,123.04 an ounce. The rand is at 16.40 to the dollar, 21.90 to the pound, 18.61 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $76.47 a barrel.
In Irene, traffic remains sluggish on a main road approaching the Maypierce Drive. There's faulty traffic lights in four ways at Winnie Mandela Drive and Mont Casino Boulevard. There's also traffic lights out of order in Marlborough at Marlborough Drive and Old Pretoria Road.
And in your sports, the latest from the first quarterfinal of Wimbledon's action for the day. Former Springbok number 8 Dwayne Vermeulen reflects on current number 8 Jasper Visser, and a junior Springbok prop test positive for banned substance.
It's a fine afternoon in Gauteng today. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 21 and 22 degrees. The top story in EWN, Johannesburg Mayor Dada Morero has dismissed reports that the Metro's financial management has reached a crisis point.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
We're calling on Joburg to walk the inner city with us. In 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk. Babize bonke. Enter now on primemediaplus.com.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app, DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Very good afternoon, everyone. It is 8 minutes past 3 on Wednesday, the 8th of July. This is 702 Drive with me, John Perlman. Welcome to the show. As Treasury puts the squeeze on municipalities and metros that haven't managed public money properly, the executive mayor of the city of Johannesburg, Dada Morero, insists that everything is under control.
We will fully comply with the process and provide necessary clarity. Our working relations with National Treasury is yielding the results. As we speak, we have received correspondence from National Treasury that confirmed that our city's 2026-2027 budget or annual budget is fully funded. This is comforting feedback as it confirms that our financial management is okay and has not reached a crisis point.
We'll look more closely at the arguments and the numbers after 4 o'clock. The ceasefire between the United States and Iran is over. That's at least the view expressed today by US President Donald Trump at the NATO summit in Turkey. So what has happened and what might happen next? More on that at 10 to 4 with analyst Professor James Kerr-Lindsay. And at the World Cup, Argentinian delight at a dramatic last 16 win is matched by Egyptian fury at the way the game was refereed.
We were leading 2-0 against the world champions, but the referee decided that our sweat, our sacrifice, and the emotional investment of an entire nation meant absolutely nothing. He rendered all of our immense effort completely useless with a single, biased decision. Let us be completely honest with ourselves and let the world hear this. The cup is directed towards Argentina. It is preordained. It feels as though the entire tournament structure, the officiating, and the decisions are specifically designed to ensure they progress, no matter what happens on the pitch.
That is a translation of the views expressed by Egyptian star attacking player Mustafa Ziko. We'll get a view on all of this from Mark Leeson, football journalist, who was there to watch a quite extraordinary match in Atlanta last night. Maybe you've got your own views on that, by the way. Mark with us at 10 to 5, but well before then, if you want to weigh in on the issue, do give us a call on 072 702 1702 or 011 883 0702. We'll have some music at the end of the show. Popular songs usually begin with instruments, and then usually roughly, it's almost exactly around 30 seconds. That's when the singing begins, the voices come in. But you do get songs They don't bother with the instruments at the beginning. They just get singing straight away like this one. Okay, so that's the part of that Bon Jovi song where the chorus is filled out by the instruments, the guitars and the drums and everything else. But right at the beginning of the song, they just come in clean with something a cappella. So that's what we're asking you for. We'll play you that Bon Jovi song again a little bit later just to make exactly clear what it is. But songs that begin just with the voice. Your favorites, please, on 072 702 1702. Well, we are going to talk about the renewed hostilities, the renewed fighting between Iran and the United States, and that's having a big effect on markets. The oil price heading upwards again following renewed hostilities between those two countries. Brent crude is up by $1.59, currently trading at $77.50 a barrel. That's pushed up the price of Sasol shares by 4.7% on a day when Naspers, off the back of excellent results for both Naspers and Prosus released last week, Naspers continuing to thrive today, up by 4.5%. But for most of the market, it's been tough. The all-share index is down by 1,540 points. Vugile is off by 5.6%, Karoo by 5.1%, and Northam is off by 4.7% on a day when the platinum price has fallen sharply. The rand is trading at 16 rand 38 against the dollar, 15 cents weaker than this time yesterday. Pretty much the same against the euro, 18 rand 68. That's a 12-cent fall, and 21 rand 86 will get you a pound. The rand weaker against sterling by 14 cents. Ray White joins us with all the market news at 4:25. We'll get sport with Anthony Teixeira. Karabo Charlie is with us with the traffic news, and Mbali Dlamini is back in about 16 minutes' time. That's 3:30 with the very latest news headlines. This is 702 Drive. We're live in the place where you live. We will bring you everything we know about what's happening of significance in 702 land. But of course, you've got your own eyes, your own ears, your own ecosystems and networks. And if there's something that you're picking up or something that you just have a different view on, perhaps compared to a guest or anything else, you may want to just call us with that on 072 702 1702 or 011 883 0702, 14 minutes past 3.
702.
Let's walk the talk.
Well, something that was quite a big story in the United States, I guess a very big story. I mean, I have to say it's not one that I particularly followed, but it was hard not to be aware if you're watching any news programs on TV or flipping through newspapers as I do, that the Taylor Swift-Travis Kelce wedding was quite a big thing at Madison Square Garden. It's not only a big thing in the media and on social media, but also a big thing. There were a lot of guests. And Jonathan Fairburn, who's always trawling things, plus is a closet Swiftie, is observed. No, I mean, well, unless you are. Yeah, you had some observations about the guest list, not so much about who was there, but the kind of issues that it might raise for some of us.
Yeah, afternoon, John, and afternoon to our 702 family. Yeah, I mean, I do think some of Taylor Swift's songs are good.
Some of them are terrific.
Yeah, they're really good. I wouldn't call myself a Swiftie, but I can appreciate her music. So I came across a photo of Brad Pitt with his new girlfriend, which he went public with at that wedding. And I was like, Brad Pitt invited to this wedding? What's the connection there? And then I looked a little bit further, and apparently Brad Pitt had appeared on Taylor Swift's husband, what's his name,
Travis Kelce,
a podcast that he has, and there's other sort of background in terms of mutual friends and stuff like that.
Yeah, so they're close.
So, very tight.
Yeah.
But there was over
Way
like 1,000 people there, I think,
Yes.
at Madison Square Garden. And, these celebrity weddings, I suppose, are, whoever cracks the nod or who's the coolest person at the time or whatever it may be will come to the wedding. But then I thought about, weddings which, I mean, I had a wedding, and when we were deciding on the guest list, it was like, do we really need this person here? And then, your mom and your dad will say, but what about these people from, our friends? Can they come as well?
Yes.
And it's like, you just see the per head go up and up and up, and the costs just
And
start
the bill,
increasing,
indeed.
et cetera, et cetera. And it can sometimes get a little bit, tense between the couples and families about, wow, why can't Auntie so-and-so come? And, what about my childhood friend from grade 1 and all this kind of stuff? So how do you go about navigating the invites to weddings and kind of narrowing it down to say, Auntie so-and-so and Uncle so-and-so are not coming? Even though, they were there at your birth. Like those kind of conversations between couples and families.
Yeah, no, it's a very, very interesting one because, it does raise the bigger question, actually, who is this wedding for, And it doesn't just have to be weddings, by the way. It could be some significant events that you have. And I know the parental pressure can be quite a significant one. We also want to have our friends there. Have you had to walk this road, Karabo Charlie?
Well, I won't be surprised if I don't know half of the guests at my wedding.
Yes.
Because in the township rural area, literally the whole neighborhood is invited.
Okay.
So as long as they know there's going to be a wedding, where now you'll just invite maybe the VIPs, the people who are just going to be sitting in the tent and being taken good care of. And then there's the rest of the community who are just going to come there and eat your food and drink your booze.
But that's if you're having it in...
most of the time, we're going to have it because, Michael, in our culture is you have two weddings. You have one at the woman's place or where she grew up, and then you take her to your house to introduce her to the rest of your family. So she's from a rural area, so definitely I won't know half of the people who are there. I'll just have to be like, you know what?
You just gotta
take out the money.
Bring out the wallet, Baba.
Yeah. That's how it rolls.
Okay, so give us your wedding stories, please. How did you manage the decisions around who gets invited? And Karabo making the very interesting and important point that in different cultures there are different notions of who actually gets invited and who gets to come as part of a larger community. Call us on that on 072 702 1702. Traffic, how are we looking at 19 minutes past 3?
Well, I must say we're looking really good, John. Free-flowing traffic across most parts of 702 land. Really nothing hectic to worry about if you're about to hit the road. However, just look out for those faulty traffic lights still in four ways. Winnie Mandela Drive and Monte Casino Boulevard. In Sandton, traffic lights out of order. Greyston and the M1, as well as in Sharon Lee at Malibongo Drive and President Fushia. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
What we are seeing from the public protector, in a way, gives credence to this narrative that there are two Cape Towns. So you have this world-class city, these affluent areas that are taken care of, and then you've got these impoverished communities that are simply not serviced the same.
I absolutely understand and accept those realities. It'd be dishonest of me not to accept them. But the biggest rate-limiting challenge for us in terms of our response as it pertains to sewer collapses specifically is the fact that it is impossible for us to access these areas because of the structures that prevent our teams from going in.
Councillor Zahid Bedruddin, who is the MMC for Water and Sanitation in the city of Cape Town.
Clements Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
Ready to redefine what's possible in your career? Join Wits Business School's virtual open day on Thursday, 16 July at 5:30 p.m. Discover postgraduate diplomas, master's degrees, and executive education programs that will challenge your thinking, unlock new opportunities, and prepare you to lead with confidence. Register today at wbs.ac.za. Wits Business School, sculpting global leaders.
John, where are you rushing to?
Sure, I'm off to SARS. I need to check if I must file.
Wait! SARS sends auto-assessment notices from 1 to 12 July.
Done. Just like that?
Yes. If you get a notice of assessment, check it. If it's correct, you're done. If it's incorrect or you did not receive one, file from 13 July on e-filing or the SARS Mobi app.
I could already be done.
This filing season, experience the power of done. Expect your auto-assessment notice from 1 to 12 July or file from 13 July via e-filing or the SARS Mobi app. Go to sars.gov.za. SARS, at your service.
Peregrine Capital presents Brian Habana's Count to 100.
In my journey to 100, it started with my first cap, then my second, 10th, 50th, 90th, 99th.
Brian Habana, his 100th international test.
You get to 100 one decision at a time. For 28 years, Peregrine Capital has applied that same discipline to turn 1 million rand into 100 million. Peregrine Capital. Invest in performance. An authorized FSP. Past performance non-indicative of future performance. T's and C's apply.
On Sunday, 26 July, the entire city unites for the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk.
Walk the talk.
And because Joburg is more than just a city, we'll be walking for the people. Babize bonke. So join us and help make a difference to homelessness in the city by entering on primemediaplus.com and donating vouchers.
Donate a voucher.
Which is a cashless way to give, helping people experiencing homelessness access a hot shower, a meal, a bed, or more support. Anybody can join and everybody can donate. 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Johannesburg. Enter and donate now on primemediaplus.com.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, it's good to have you with us. Now, coming up on the show a little bit later, Ferial Haffajee, Associate Editor of Daily Maverick, will give us her take on the press conference at which Executive Mayor Dada Morero, but other members of the Mayoral Committee in Johannesburg were there answering questions as well. This around the issues that have been raised by the National Treasury cutting off or withholding, shall I say, a July allocation of funding that would normally move from national to municipal or metro level. That, by the way, affected 69 other municipalities as well. We talked about it in some detail yesterday. Ferial Haffajee joining us for, as I say, her take at about 10 minutes past 4. We are still trying to get the mayor on the show for the period after 5 o'clock. If we possibly can, we'll keep chipping away at that and letting you know if we have any luck. 24 minutes past 3.
John is on X.
At John Perlman.
But let's focus on this now. Out in Western area, in the southwest part of Gauteng, in the area of the Losberg Kloof mine, you may have heard on the news here and anywhere else that the police conducted a large-scale Operation Prosper, they called it, where they were trying to make a dent in the scourge of illegal mining in that community. That, of course, a problem in many other parts of the country as well. 217 people were arrested. We wait to get more details about what exactly is going to come of those arrests. But what about the operation itself? Now, we have seen high-level, large-scale action of this kind taken before. It does not seem to have stemmed the tide of what goes on in these communities affected by illegal mining. But let's get the take of someone who's been keeping a very close eye on this. He's the executive director of an organization that you may know as MAKUA. MAKUA stands for Mining Affected Communities United in Action, and he's executive director of their advice office. Christopher Rutledge, a very good afternoon to you, and thanks for your time. Was this a raid done pretty much in the way other raids have been done, or was there anything to suggest that the authorities are coming up with perhaps some tweaks and some new ways of addressing the problem? Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, John, and thank you very much for having me. Indeed, we have the first thing that we noted was that the general in charge of the operation indicated that the operation was preceded by at least 6 months of intelligence work. So gathering the data, understanding the lay of the land, who's in, who's out, where they're going, and what they're doing. And this then allowed them to execute the operation in an orderly fashion. And evaded the consequences of what we saw in Stilfontein, where the operation was not preceded by intelligence, but they simply went in, cut off people, and then, killed 93 people in the process. So we're very happy that the intelligence part of this operation was successfully executed and that nobody died as a result of police action. So certainly that we are very grateful for.
Yeah. So, I mean, that would suggest better planning. But let's talk about this approach itself, because a question many people ask, and I'm sure it's one you've heard many times, Mr. Rutledge, is, yes, 217 people arrested, but one would assume the vast majority of them are people who are the troops in this particular operation. They are replaceable, either themselves coming back after a period of time, either in jail or being deported. But secondly, the actual networks that turn this into the highly profitable venture that it is are not necessarily being dented by this. Maybe inconvenience, but certainly not put out of business.
Yes. No, indeed, John, that is the second part of our concern, is that the police continues to arrest what are essentially artisanal miners, so working class or workers at the very bottom of the rung.
Right.
These artisanal miners themselves are the product of exploitation. I mean, they are certainly not getting the full value of their labor in this process. And the bulk of the proceeds from this syndicated operations are ending up in the pockets of high-level syndicate leaders, as we've seen in the Madlanga Commission. Some of that information has come out, and this reaches up to the Minister of Police, who himself was implicated in testimony before the Madlanga Commission. We know that he was in the process of meeting with Brown Mahotse at the state ministerial home, while other members of the cartel were expanding their operations on the other side of the northwest in Bapong, their illegal mining operation. So there is a connection here between high-level people who are benefiting from the system, but who are not being investigated. We have not seen the minister being investigated. We have not seen him being questioned in the Madlanga Commission around his connection to these syndicates. So it seems like this operation, albeit a success in the sense that the police described it as arresting 217 people, the fact of the matter is it is a low-hanging fruit which doesn't change the equation of the syndicate economic logic, and keeps those who are benefiting out of the investigative loop, and that for me is a failure by all means.
And just finally, I mean, if this is to change, surely something needs to happen with the gold resources that are underground. If there was some way, and maybe I'm being unrealistic, but is there some way of those being mined in an orderly, legal fashion, but also most crucially, that benefit the kind of communities where you and the other people in Makua actually do your work?
John, from your mouth to the ears of those in power, because this is something that we've been asking them to work with us on for more than a decade now. We've been saying we brought to the state this problem of illegal and artisanal mining many, many years ago. And we said to them, this is going to become a problem. And it is best that we regulate the sector now, because it does two things. One, it avoids the criminalizing poor black people. But two, it adds significant value to the economy, because you then empower a whole band of new entrants into the economy who suddenly are able to purchase things, and create economic activity. And the way that the mining industry is structured is closed. It ensures that the value and the wealth gets extracted to the top, and it leaves thousands, if not millions of people destitute on the ground. Now, that's not a way to build an economy. So here is a deep economic question that is being avoided by this constant focus on illegal migrants and illegal mining. If with society, including Makua and others, to regulate the sector,
Yes.
bring more people in, have more wealth created, then we start to deal with this deep inequality and unemployment that our country suffers with.
Thank you so much, Christopher Rutledge, Executive Director at the organization Mining Affected Communities United in Action. And you'll often hear them referred to as Makua. Lots of food for thought there. Perhaps you live out in one of those areas affected by illegal mining. And what you heard from Christopher Rutledge, does it make sense to you? Is it realistic from what you know about the place where you live or a place perhaps where you grew up? Give us a call, 28 minutes to 4. Right, let's get the very latest eyewitness news now. Mbali Dlamini keeping an eye on things for us. Here she is once again. Good afternoon.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. Mpumalanga police are investigating an alleged staged kidnapping involving Marumo Gallants midfielder Tapelo Lulu. Lulu is back at home following an ordeal that began over a week ago in Malahleni. Police say their investigation now suggests that the soccer player might have faked his own kidnapping and are considering charging him with defeating the ends of justice. Nkosikhona Malingamnisi reports.
Police say Tapelo Lulu's family reported him missing after receiving a ransom demand of 50,000 rand from an unknown caller using the player's cell phone. A kidnapping for ransom case was opened at Witbank police station last Sunday, prompting an urgent search. But later that day, investigators say the player returned home unharmed. Mpumalanga police spokesperson Mavela Masonda says follow-up investigations indicate that no ransom was ever paid and that the apparent kidnapping may never have happened.
The news of the soccer player's disappearance was brought to the police attention by his family. During the time when his family reported him as missing, his next of kin indicated that he was kidnapped, and currently it is said that he returned home 7 days later unharmed.
Masonda says investigations into the debacle continue. See Kwana Malingamnisi, Eyewitness News.
The Department of Home Affairs has reaffirmed its commitment to protecting the integrity of South Africa's immigration system. This follows a constitutional court ruling on the Refugees Act. Yesterday, the court confirmed asylum seekers and their children are no longer barred from lodging an asylum application or excluded from refugee status because of procedural failures. Home Affairs says it's noted the judgment and remains committed to upholding the Constitution while restoring and maintaining the rule of law. Meanwhile, the Helen Suzman Foundation says the judgment clearly found Home Affairs failed asylum seekers and breached its international laws. The organization's Jason White.
It's a unanimous judgment, so there were no dissenting judgments from the court, and the judgment was very unequivocal as to the failings by the Department of Home Affairs to provide for the interests of asylum seekers and to respect their obligations under international law.
White says he hopes the ruling prompts a more progressive approach in other immigration-related cases before the courts.
We obviously hope that, given that there are further cases that have been brought by civil society organisations regarding the department's conduct in respects of immigrants, that there might be some lessons learned from this judgment and a more progressive approach taken in respect of those other matters, but only time will tell.
And search and rescue operations are continuing in China following devastating storms that have killed 17 people. The extreme weather has caused dozens of rivers to overflow and a reservoir dam to burst. In some regions, thousands of people were evacuated from their homes to shelters built to house those who have been displaced. Eastern provinces in China are preparing for the impact of Super Typhoon Bavi as well, which could make landfall between Saturday and Sunday. It's a fine afternoon in Gauteng today. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 21 and 22 degrees.
Traffic lights still not working in Woodmead, at Woodmead Drive and Woodlands. Sharon Lee, there's faulty traffic lights on Malibongo Drive and President Forshire, as well as in Marlborough at Marlborough Drive and Old Pretoria Road.
The top story in EWN and Mpumalanga police are investigating an alleged staged kidnapping involving soccer team Marumo Gallants midfielder Tapelo Lulu.
What is special about this year's 702 Jozi, My Jozi Walk the Talk is that we actually get to experience the city in a completely different way. So often the city is seen in a negative light, and I feel like the Walk the Talk is going to be breathing new life into the city with people falling in love with it again. You must definitely take part in this year's Walk the Talk because, of course, we often engage across from one another via the phone, via the WhatsApp line, but this time we actually get to see each other in person, and it is always such a beautiful experience. This year, I am eyeing the 5 kilometer because I saw that route and I said, this should be interesting, but I'll see. I might challenge myself. Let's see. To enter the 702 Jozi, My Jozi Walk the Talk, go to primemediaplus.com or download the app. I'm so excited. Can't wait to see you there.
Africa's growth story is no longer just about potential. It's being built, scaled and amplified across the continent. Standard Bank Business and Commercial Banking presents Africa Unlocked 2026 under the theme Built in Africa, Amplifying Continental Growth. Stay tuned to 702 for exclusive insights, strategic highlights and impactful updates from Africa's premier platform for business and economic dialogue. Don't miss it. Standard Bank Africa Unlocked 2026 on 702. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
Solve exciting riddles and unravel a web of suspense and adventure with Hollywood Bets and Spinner Zonke Mystery Parcel. You stand a chance to win a share of 1 million rand in cash and bonus bets. Start your quest and bet 2 rand or more on selected Playtech slots every Wednesday between 2:30 p.m. and 8:30 p.m. and Sunday from 4:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. What scintillating secret will your parcel reveal? Bet now. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
Welcome to Nando's Taste-Demonials. It's the flavor! Real reviews by real people. Dolly from Boertersig is vegetarian-ish with a reputation to uphold. Here's what she whispered about the half chicken and a single side for $1.25.
Shh. What? I don't eat chicken, but for Nando's, I make the exception.
Well, good thing there's a salad on the side for appearances. Of course, Nando's. Oh, what a place.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
I'm so sick and tired of that Dada Morero. Can he just be removed? He is so pathetic, and I think he's blind. He needs to be bought spectacles so that he can see, because I don't understand this. Bye.
I think it's pretty simple when you're a man. You just let the women decide. You've already got your 5 friends that you're going to keep for the rest of your life anyway, right? And your parents. So it's best to stay out of harm's way. Let the women decide. The other 110 places, you've got 10 places. Make peace with that. Stay out of it if you know what's good for you. Like, stay out of it. Oh, better remind your mother that it's not her wedding. It's your wife's wedding. You guys, this is hard work, this. Good luck.
Okay, well, we asked you about how you sort out who gets to come to a wedding that you're involved with. And this all prompted by the rather large gathering, but one would have to say that probably the large budget for Travis Kelce's wedding to Taylor Swift. Keep those stories coming, please. And if you did listen to any of the feedback in regard to the state of Joburg's finances, this prompted by National Treasury putting Joburg in a group of 70 municipalities from whom July's National Treasury allocation was withheld. I think the caller who said the executive mayor needs glasses, I think he wears glasses. Last time I checked. I'm not sure that's the issue. But anyway, I get your point. Metaphor. It's 20 minutes to 4.
EWN Sport.
A day without football, Anthony Teixeira, doesn't mean we won't talk about football, but people who just need a sports fix, you've got some tennis for us.
Yeah, good afternoon. That's right, John. We will start at the women's quarterfinal stage at Wimbledon. 2 matches currently on the go. Linda Noskova won the first set 6-3 against Elise Mertens, and right now in the second one, it's a 4-4. In the other match of the day, well, we have seen Marta Kuščić take on the lead against Jasmine Paolini, a set to love after winning the opener 6-3, and right now it is Kuščić who is leading 4-2 in that second set as well. Still to come on court in the men's draw, Fritz against Zverev, Koboli meets the unseeded Ferry, while in rugby the Springboks will continue the Nations Championship at Loftus Saturday against Scotland. Former Bok 8th man turned coach Dwayne Vermeulen has spoken on the current number 8, Jasper Wiese.
He's been a really big stalwart in our team. He's probably one of the guys that gives us a great advantage in getting over the advantage line and getting those front foot ball carries. So he's a massive asset to the squad.
The Scots come with confidence following a 19-point victory over Argentina in Argentina. Coach Gregor Townsend has spoken on their travels.
Well, it's something that our players are more used to in the URC and obviously in Europe, to travel from north to south and be ready for a game against the South African club team. It was a long flight and we're 5 hours ahead from where we were a few days ago. But it's like the players are so good now at recovering. Our evidence is how they train. They're in a good place.
Reports suggest that junior Springbok prop Kai Pratt has failed a doping test conducted on April 10th before the Under-20 Rugby Championship. He requested that his B sample be tested after an anabolic steroid test returned a positive result, and researchers at the Boston University's CTE Center diagnosed through a post-mortem brain tissue that NFL player Marshawn Neeland, who was suffering from stage 1 CTE when he died by suicide last year. The former Dallas Cowboys defensive lineman's family said the diagnosis provided important context over the struggles that he was facing. He started playing American football at the age of 7, going through the high school and university systems. CTE is caused by repeated blows to the head, and in 2023 it was diagnosed in 345 of the 376 former NFL players studied. Stage 1 is the mildest of the 4 stages, and common symptoms include headaches as well as a lack of concentration. Anthony Teixeira, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
At 17 minutes to 4, early in the rush hour cycle, Karabo Charlie is the very latest from out on the roads. You look chilled.
Yeah, no, things are looking chilled on our roads at this hour, John. No accidents have been reported on our highways. However, if you're leaving Sandton, traffic is a bit sluggish. This is on Catherine Drive, Catherine Street between Rivonia Road and Greyston Drive. There's also slow-moving traffic approaching the intersection of Winnie Mandela Drive and Monte Cassino Boulevard. That's in 4 ways due to faulty traffic lights. Also, traffic lights not working this afternoon in Sandton at Greyston and the M1, as well as in Sharon Lee at Malibongwe Drive and President Fouchier. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Yeah, so we've just been getting views, and Anthony, you may have been involved and required to perhaps referee disputes and debates around who gets to be on the list for weddings as guests or maybe other big family occasions. What's the best way to resolve these things? We had a listener call in and say, listen, leave it to your wife and tell your mother to stay out of it as well. Choose 10 of your very best friends or however many that might be and be satisfied with that. And then for the rest, stay out of it. Does that sound like sound advice to you?
I mean, I'm going to be honest. I don't think so, to be honest with you. It's one of those things you constantly hear, oh, the wedding day is about the bride, is about the bride. The groom's also getting married. I mean, this is also supposed to be their big day together. So I'm very much, I think that the parents should stay out. That's probably great advice. At the end of the day, it's not their wedding. It is the bride and groom. But very much, it should be down the line. One for you, one for me. One for you, one for me. Let's go 50-50 or as close as possible. Unless one of the the groomspeople or the bride and the groom don't have a large family or don't have a large network of friends, then you can talk about making different changes and having different opinions. But for the most part, I think it should be 50-50. It is a union after all.
I could have used a union maybe in the negotiations. Now you mentioned union. I don't know if there is a union for this kind of thing. No, I mean, my wife just knows more people than me, has more friends, family size, probably fairly similar, but both pretty small families. But no, I mean, she just knows way more people. And, when I try to slip someone and you say, who is this person? I've never met them. So it was tricky. But it was fun. And it all worked out on the night. Your stories, please, on 072 702 172 and 011 883 0702. It's coming up now for 13 minutes to 4. Just to confirm, Executive Mayor of Johannesburg, Dada Morero, will be joining us after 5 o'clock. We'll be talking a little bit later to him about the city's response, the Metro management's response to the decision taken by National Treasury to withhold their July allocation of money that should flow ordinarily from national to local government levels. That's coming up later. You may have some questions. Do send them to us. 13 minutes to 4.
Drive Home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Well, something I think of an extraordinary set of comments made by U.S. President Donald Trump, even against the standards that he has set over a number of years for, let's just call it bluntness in the interests of time. But he has effectively said that while talks are still going on, the ceasefire with Iran, between Iran and the United States, is pretty much over. He referred to Iran's leadership as scum and sick people. He talked about being very upset with NATO. He spoke about them, again, the Iranian leadership, as vicious, violent people, and if they had a nuclear weapon, they'd use it. As far as I'm concerned, it's over. So, is it over? Let's find out firstly what caused this. Secondly, what might happen next. Joining us, as he often does, to help us wade through often complicated issues like this, Professor James Kerr-Lindsay. Prof, welcome and thanks very much for your time. Any idea what brought this on? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Doesn't it feel that we've been here just so many times?
Yes.
It really is. This is, I've said from the start, this has been, if we can park the fact that obviously it's led to a lot of casualties and deaths, this has been a ridiculous conflict from the start. Trump clearly had no real sense of where he wanted to take things. We understand that, the old dictum that war is politics by other means, it's really does boil down to the fact that when you go to conflict, especially major conflict like this, you have to have a clear idea as to what you want from it. And it was certainly the case that Trump had no idea of that. And then we got to a situation where essentially the Iranians had outplayed him. They'd outlasted the US bombing from the air, and there was little that the United States could do apart from sending ground troops, and that just wasn't going to happen. So we got to this situation where Trump was effectively begging them to come to the table, and we had this 14-point memorandum that was being hailed as the great breakthrough. And then suddenly Trump was sort of praising the Iranian leadership and calling them smart, and that that we had these talks going on that had been brokered by Pakistan, and then it seemed to go very quiet. And then what we now hear is the latest reports today of Trump having this blow up about the Iranians. There seems to have been a number of incidents that took place in the Strait of Hormuz, that firing has started again. And now he's referring to them as scum, and, the conflict is going to start again tonight. So it just really does seem like the latest chapter in this saga, and who knows where we're going to be tomorrow.
It is, there was one sort of little, I don't know if I can call it a loophole, but there was one sort of qualification of the overall sentiment, it seemed to me, Prof, expressed by the US president, saying it's over, was saying, well, I must still talk to my guys who are doing the talks. Could this just be, could it be bluff? trying to up the ante for whatever reason, and that behind the scenes, people who should be talking and looking for solutions to some really quite complex and long-running problems might still be at it?
Well, I mean, he has said that the talks are continuing, but that he thinks it's now a waste of time. And again, you're right. I mean, it's very, very. I mean, we know this, that it's impossible to discern what Trump is really thinking, what he really wants, beyond sort of getting his own personal publicity most of the time. As you noted, he is at the NATO summit that's taking place in Ankara at the moment. It's an important summit for various reasons. But you know, as you highlighted, he's complaining that NATO hasn't stood by him. You know, of course, NATO is officially a defensive alliance, which isn't meant to stand by its members when they launch voluntary wars of aggression. So it really, really is very difficult to tell. Is this a posturing thing? Maybe he feels that he's been humiliated because everyone said he lost the war against Iran, so he's just looking for a way out to be able to sort of give them another pummeling for whatever reason. It's not going to change the outcome, I don't think. But yes, I mean, it's extraordinarily difficult, as it has been the whole way through this, to make proper sense of this and where it's going, why it's been done, what the ultimate US end goal in all of this. It really is a bizarre situation all round.
In terms of what might happen next, I mean, the oil price is obviously moving, and we spoke before, and we exchanged views about, you know, look at what shipping line operators are actually doing rather than what the market price for Brent crude is. But my sense is that people were starting to think, okay, this is done, not in its final form, but it's kind of safe enough to come out from behind the couch. Does this turn all of that back, and that the global economy now goes into, if not retreat, a very, very significant and cautious pause?
Well, I think there are two elements in all of this. It's one, there's that question of what really lies behind this. There will undoubtedly be a lot of nervousness, but I think obviously it'll depend on where we are tomorrow if he has launched all these attacks. But of course, there's also going to be a body of thought that, you know, on the more conspiratorial, but it's not a conspiracy theory that is without any legs whatsoever, is that, you know, is Trump playing his usual game of trying to move the markets? We know that there's a lot of concern that there has been untoward trading going on every time Trump opens his mouth about this. And if we are seeing oil prices changing, then a lot of people will be thinking, is this Trump just doing what he's doing again? And that ultimately things are on track. You know, it's posturing. Look, again, we are in such strange territory when we're dealing with Donald Trump that, you know, all the old rules of international relations cease to apply, unfortunately. That, you know, it's not, you know, look, we know that there's uncertainty in international relations. It goes with the territory. But at least there was a sense that you had leaders who would follow a certain rationale. Now, that rationale might depend very much on a number of factors, domestic factors, sort of cultural factors, which are often overlooked. But essentially, you could decode it. The problem with Donald Trump is that you just can't. And so we are left with this uncertainty. And yes, I think there will be a lot of companies that will be thinking, oh, no, not again. And how are we going to deal with the price shocks that come from this? And of course, we all as consumers will be paying the ultimate price for this.
Yeah, it really is somewhat unknowable. I mean, one of the things that maybe we need greater clarity on, the NATO gathering itself. What would the other members of NATO been looking for? Because in addition to his comments on the peace situation between the US and Iran, Prof, very, very scathing about NATO. Would the other members have said, well, look, this is always a possibility, we don't have to brace ourselves for it because we factored it in? Or were they hoping for something a lot more, if not amicable, then at least procedural? Because this throws a whole lot of NATO balls up in the air, admittedly, where they've probably been before.
Well, I mean, frankly, when we talk about what NATO will want, I mean, the vast majority of NATO members will be pleased if we come out at this summit and Trump hasn't walked off in a hissy fit and sort of said he's going to pull the United States out of NATO. So essentially, these meetings are becoming a form of sort of crisis management that, right, okay, we've got Trump in the room. Maybe there's a chance that we can talk some sense into him, but we know that the problem with Trump is that, even if you think you've got through to him, the next day it can all fall to one side because he's spoken to someone else who's told him something that he wants to hear, and suddenly NATO are the bad guys again. So I think, what we've seen is that Europe has been moving more towards defining its own security. That is really now starting to take off. I think, in the first months of the Trump administration, there was this sense of maybe we can communicate with him, maybe we can keep him on track. I think that has now disappeared. But again, there is a fundamental difference about, from the Europeans working closely together to build European security and doing that and having Trump walk away from NATO altogether. And I think everyone is terrified of the consequences of that for all sorts of different reasons. So again, we come back to the fact that Trump's making all these statements against NATO.
Yes.
I think everyone there will just be trying to keep him calm so that he doesn't walk out of the room, but they will be doing their own things on the sidelines and having lots and lots of conversations about how Europe can better defend itself with this very, very irrational leader in the United States.
Thank you so much, Professor James Kerr-Lindsay. If you haven't heard the news, the oil price is going up. US President Donald Trump has referred in extremely disparaging terms to the leadership of Iran, calling them scum and sick people and vicious people. And of course, that is moving markets in directions that spell bad news for all of us because the oil price is going up. The markets in general are jittery once more. So whether you actually follow the specifics of that conflict or not, you are directly affected. And we'll find out exactly how at about 25 minutes past 4 when Ray White comes in with all the business news. It's 3 minutes to 4.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9. There's been some dispute between our authorities and the Nigerian government who've demanded justice and threatened even international action, claiming 2 of its nationals have been killed in South Africa in the last month. The timing, of course, could not be more charged following ongoing demonstrations demanding that undocumented foreigners leave this country. Might we get a trade blowback, the continent hurting us where we might feel it the most?
I think so, yes. And I think that's sort of in 2 ways, both in terms of, economic relationships and trade, but also in the fact that we suddenly, really expelled thousands of people who were putting into the economy here.
Dr. Rebecca Walker. Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
As a business owner, while you look for ways to save money, have you looked at saving on your business insurance premium? Switch to Outsurance Business Insurance and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. For convenience stores, restaurants, beauty salons, pharmacies and all other businesses. Make the smart business move and switch to Outsurance Business Insurance today. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08 600 60,000 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
I'm Zola Nene, working with Ladies of Love to nourish small children who need our helping hands. Join us at Ladies of Love's Mandela Day hands-on events at DHL Stadium on 17 July or Johannesburg Expo Centre on 22nd July and spend 67 minutes hand-making items to grow our future leaders. Tickets are 300 Rand and this gives a child healthy meals for a month. Be a hands-on hero. Visit ladiesoflove.org.za for tickets today.
As we gear up for the 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Joburg on Sunday, 26 July, we're inviting you to help us make a difference this winter. 702 Weekend Breakfast with Gugzum Klungu, together with MES Homeless Shelter, is running a clothing drive, and we'd love you to be part of it. If you have pre-loved clothing, warm jackets, jerseys, blankets, toiletries, or any non-perishable food items, please donate them. Drop your items off at our 702 studios at 15 Fredman Drive, Sandton. And together we can bring warmth and dignity to those who need it most. Every single item makes a difference to someone. MES is a registered not-for-profit company that has been changing the hearts of the inner cities of Joburg, Cape Town, Gqeberha and Kempton Park since 1986. 702, let's walk the talk.
This is EWN.
Morero insists Joburg has met all Treasury requirements, and Nobuhle Ngabane elected to chair Parliament's Agriculture Committee. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. Johannesburg Mayor Dada Morero says the city has met all of Treasury's requirements and expects to receive its 3.5 billion rand equitable share allocation by mid-July. The mayor says the money will be used to settle outstanding debt owed to Rand Water and Eskom. It comes after Treasury withheld the payment as part of a crackdown on municipalities with persistent financial failures. Speaking to the media today, Morero insists there is no crisis with the city's finances. Dimakato Leshoro has more.
Johannesburg Mayor Dada Morero insists there is no financial crisis at the city despite National Treasury withholding its July equitable share allocation. He told journalists this afternoon that as of yesterday, the city has submitted all the documents and information required by National Treasury and is now expecting the 3.6 billion rand transfer to be paid by mid-July. He says the funds will be used to settle the outstanding payments owed to Rand Water and Eskom.
By Friday, we should give them all outstanding compliance issues. They've then made a commitment that by mid-July, we should be able to receive our equitable share, which will also be destined directly to us paying Eskom and Rand Water.
Morero added that the city will now ring-fence monies for entities like Joburg Water to fund their infrastructure requirements. Dimakato Leshoro, Eyewitness News, Johannesburg.
Meanwhile, National Treasury is widening its crackdown on unpaid municipal debt, and this time national and provincial government departments are in its sights. Speaking during a media briefing today, Treasury Deputy Director General Ukhalaletsang Kharekwe says government departments that fail to pay their municipal bills could soon face the same punishment. Anelita Fandese has more.
The warning comes after Treasury temporarily withheld 13.5 billion rand in July equitable share allocations to 69 municipalities over financial mismanagement and unpaid obligations. Speaking during the briefing, Treasury officials revealed they have now started the process of withholding transfers to national and provincial departments that owe municipalities money. Departments have been instructed to resolve billing disputes and settle outstanding accounts or risk losing portions of their budget allocations. Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana first announced in May that Treasury would begin deducting money from departments to settle municipal debts, arguing that government cannot demand financial discipline from municipalities while failing to pay its own bills. Anelita Fandese, Eyewitness News.
Eastern Cape Police say they are closing in on those behind the murder of ANC ward councillor Celo Mleve, with a second suspect now in custody. Mleve was shot dead during a community meeting at a ward office in Zwide last month. Two armed men allegedly stormed the venue, held about 10 people at gunpoint, demanding their cell phones and opening fire. The killing sent shockwaves through the community, raising fresh concerns about the safety of public representatives. Last Thursday, police arrested the first suspect, a 20-year-old man in KwaZakele. Eastern Cape Police spokesperson Nobuntu Gantana has now confirmed the arrest of a second suspect.
A second accused in the Councillor Celo Mleve murder case appeared at the New Brighton Magistrates Court today. Ahlumile Stofile, a 21-year-old male, was arrested on 7 July 2026. He will be appearing along his co-accused Lufunolwethu Nyodi at the same court on Friday 10 July 2026 for a formal bail application.
Former Higher Education Minister Nobuhle Ngabane has been elected to chair Parliament's Agriculture Committee in an acting capacity until after the recess. The position was left vacant after the previous chairperson, Dina Pule, was sworn in as Social Development Minister last week. The committee's first order of business in the new term will be for provincial MECs to report back on their response to foot and mouth disease. Lindsay Dentlinger has more.
For most of this year, Parliament's Agriculture Committee has been preoccupied with the FMD outbreak and government's response to it, receiving almost weekly updates from the department. In the new term, it will have a new minister reporting to it, with the DA's Willie Oukamp sworn in last week to replace former Minister John Steenhuisen. The committee will also then be faced with electing a permanent chairperson, with Action SA MP Athol Trollip saying today that parties need more time to consider a suitable replacement for Dina Pule. But in the interim, the ANC has today elected Nobuhle Nkabane to take charge in preparing for next term's agenda. No other nominations were made.
Looking forward to work with you and to steer the ship together with you in coming up with solutions to address the challenge that you are facing as the sector.
Nkabane was fired as minister last year after being exposed for being untruthful to Parliament. She was then deployed to the Agriculture Committee and recently promoted to Deputy Chief Whip of the ANC. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
And in Pakistan, the death toll following 3 militant attacks in the southwest of the country has now risen to 42. According to reports, the attacks on civilians and security personnel lasted 4 days. The casualties included 4 civilians as well as police and soldiers. This has raised the number from 9 enforcement officers killed just yesterday. Gold is trading at $4,123.04 an ounce. The rand is at 16.41 to the dollar, 21.90 to the pound, 18.61 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $76.47 a barrel.
Slow-moving traffic in Edenville heading towards Bedfordview. That's the N3 southbound between Modderfontein Road and the Geldenays interchange. While in Northcliffe, expect some delays on Beyers Nordia. This is between Judges and the N1 Irene. Traffic sluggish on Main Road approaching Nelmay Pierce Drive.
And in your sport, the latest from the first quarterfinal of Wimbledon's action for the day. Former Springbok number 8, Dwayne Vermeulen, reflects on current number 8, Jasper Visser, and a junior Springbok prop test positive for banned substance.
A fine Thursday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Johannesburg drops to overnight lows of 3 degrees, peaking at 20. Pretoria 3 and 22, and Vereeniging 1 and 20 degrees. The top story in EWN. Johannesburg Mayor Dada Morero says the city has now met all of Treasury's requirements and expects to receive its equitable share allocation by mid-July.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Joburg is more than just a city. It's an energy that connects us all.
That's what makes this one so special.
In 702, Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Johannesburg. Enter now on primemediaplus.com.
702.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
On 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, it's 8 minutes past 4. Good to have you with us on the show. I'd love to get your thoughts, if indeed you have strong views as to the complaints made by Egypt about the way they feel the refereeing team, because VAR was also the subject of criticism, not just the on-field officiating team, saying in the strongest terms that I can ever recall hearing at a tournament like a World Cup, that they believe, put plain and simply, that they were cheated out of a win over the defending champions Argentina. We'll get the perspective of Mark Leeson, football commentator, who first of all has covered African football over many, many decades now. He's been to every World Cup, I think, since 1994. And he was also in the stadium in Atlanta last night. So well placed to give us a view, particularly as I wouldn't say the dust has settled, but there are a number of perspectives, including a statement today put out by the Egyptian Football Association. Mark with us at 10 to 5. The other big topic of conversation today, of course, is the response of the Joburg City leadership, the Metro leadership, particularly in the person of Executive Mayor Dada Morero. He gave a press conference today responding to the issues brought into sharp focus by Treasury, including Joburg, alongside 69 other municipalities, and withholding the money that should have flowed from Treasury at the beginning of July to the Metro. They say, as you heard in that bulletin, that Joburg will be getting that money in mid-July. But what has been revealed about the state of our finances? The executive mayor is with us after 5. Coming up before that, Ferrell Huffagy, associate editor at Daily Maverick, will be giving us her take on things. That's coming up shortly. It's 10 minutes past 4.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
John, yes, we can complain about the VAR, but even Egypt, they were not playing well. Argentina, they were just all over Egypt. Egypt, they can just cry. They are crying for nothing. The African teams, all of them, they've got their method is very bad. All of them. They can't play for 90 minutes. They can't defend. They can't do anything. All of them. Look at Senegal. How can you lose two goals in less than 5 minutes? Look at DR Congo. All of them, they just have the same mentality. They cannot just cry for VAR, but they must accept that they are not good enough.
This is Rob from Santon. Regarding Trump and Iran, you cannot have Iran enforcing tariffs and tolls on shipping in an international waterway. You cannot have that. And what happened was Iran fired at 3 ships, according to press reports. They have no regard for the ceasefire. They fired indiscriminately at these ships. So the ceasefire is now over. The Iranians cannot be trusted. They cannot be trusted. They are lying scum, just like Trump has said. So now the ceasefire is over. Until Iran learns a lesson, I suggest a proper lesson need to be learned.
Yeah, 702, your thoughts on the big issues of the day. That's one view on the news coming out of the NATO summit in Ankara in Turkey, with US President saying the ceasefire is over. I have to really disagree on the point, though, about Argentina were all over Egypt. Egypt dominated significant spells of that game, and the 2 goals they got were not because they got simple breakaways. One of them was on the counter-attack, but Egypt was absolutely in that game near the end. Valid questions raised perhaps about whether African teams are good enough at in-game management and managing that final stage of a game where you've got a decent lead. That's a question we can consider, but I think the characterization of Argentina bossing the game certainly didn't accord with what I watched. But let's hear from you if you've got the same view or a different view, or you want to raise a different point altogether. 072 702 1702. It's 13 minutes past 4.
EWN Traffic.
Karabo Charlie, okay, it is starting to get busy now. Familiar place, hey, Edenvale. Is this roadworks or something else?
Well, I guess it looks like it's just peak hour traffic, John. The delays have escalated all the way to Marlborough Drive. So in Alex driving towards Edenvale, Bedford View, expect about a 20-minute delay. N3 southbound between Marlborough Drive and the Geldenays interchange in Northcliffe. Also expect some delays on Bayers Nordia between Judges and the N1. Irene, traffic heavily backed up on Main Road approaching the Maypierce Drive. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
If you're a fan of the beautiful game, you'll recognize this. And this. But what about this? It's your chance to score big time. Win your share of up to 2 million rand with Standard Bank. It's game day every day. To enter, open and use any qualifying Standard Bank account, in-app or in branch. Already a Standard Bank customer? Sign up for Standard Bank Connect online to get a bonus entry. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Sporting Bet's Millionaires Cup is live, and your shot at up to 10 million rand is on the line. A pass, a tackle, a strike. Moments make the game. This one could make you. Take on a series of thrilling missions and climb your way to millionaire status with every stage of the tournament. Bet now at sportingbet.co.za. Could you be our next millionaire? Sporting Bet. Betting amplified. T's and C's apply. Sporting Bet is licensed by the Western Cape Gambling and Racing Board. No under 18s may gamble. WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710 or contact the SARGF toll-free counseling line on 0800 006 008. Winners know when to start.
It's Harold's hotline. Pat on the line.
Harold, I'm panicking. I've been walking around the mall for 4 hours. I'm currently staring at a scented candle, a car tire pressure gauge, and a pack of batteries. Should I just get all of them?
Gee, Pat, you're not buying a birthday gift. You're building a lost and found bin.
I thought if I get enough variety, one of them had to hit the mark.
My friend, you're confusing a birthday with a roadside emergency kit.
The mall is closing in 10 minutes, Harold.
Good. Get out of there, click on Net Florist, get a beautiful floral arrangement and a personalised bottle of their favourite wine. Net Florist. It's easy to show you care.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
So, as I said, we'll be talking to the Executive Mayor, Dada Marrero, after 5 o'clock, in response, of course, to the press conference he and other members of the Mayoral Committee gave today. And that, in turn, was also in response to the news that we discussed extensively yesterday, that Joburg is one of 70 municipalities from which National Treasury decided to withhold the money that should have flowed to the city and all of these other municipalities, some others of them metros, Buffalo City and Mangaung amongst them, that money withheld. Of course, it can be released later, but it doesn't sound like they'll get all of it. One of the people who was present at the briefing, Ferial Hafaji, Associate Editor of Daily Maverick. Ferial, a very good afternoon to you. What for you were the key questions? I mean, it was a very upbeat presentation from the mayor, suggesting that, yes, there are, and that oft-used words, challenges, and occasionally people didn't do their work, and the phrase we also hear quite often, there will be consequence management. But the mayor was suggesting that the city's finances are nowhere near a crisis point. Would you agree with that?
It was a very, it was a focused press conference where I felt like the people who lead us had been chastened by the various letters from the National Treasury. So the oversight there has worked, I think, to focus minds. I don't agree, though, with the mayor's view that the city's out of crisis. What appears to have been done, John, is that you have a deal now to have the release of at least some of that 3.6 billion rand in July.
Okay, so those in many ways are separate issues, aren't they?
Sure.
I mean, on the one hand, you've got Treasury putting on the squeeze in order to get certain debts paid. And as I understand it, Eskom is a principal one facing the city of Joburg. It's a couple of billion. I've got the exact number, which I'll dig out in a moment. And then there's the larger conclusion that the mayor seemed to be drawing, that all of this suggests that there is no financial crisis in the city. Would I be right in saying that was almost a deliberate separating of issues and a perhaps jumping to conclusions on the second one?
So the mayor made quite a lot about of the Moody's announcement that it would give that the credit outlook rating for the city has gone up a notch. So they said if Moody's had made such an assessment, then the city can't be in crisis. He obviously also looked at the loan from the German Development Bank, which he said wouldn't have been granted if the city's fiscal management wasn't in a progressive state. It wasn't better than it was, say, last year this time. So I think it was on those bases that the mayor made his assessment, John. But he also said something else interesting, that his own bin hadn't been collected in Regency. And the reason that hasn't happened for so many people, like 702 has been reporting all day today, is that pick it up contractors weren't paid because the crisis in the city is serial, and it's across various services that we're seeing very visibly. So I don't think that there's evidence that the city isn't in a crisis.
It's interesting for me that, I mean, the fact that people are willing to lend you money doesn't necessarily mean that they are absolutely convinced of your finances. I get that you don't get money for nothing, and this is a German government entity as I understand it. But I would have thought the interest rate and the terms would say something more than just the quantum of the loan. But in terms of where you felt questions were asked but not fully answered to your satisfaction, I mean, what came up for you?
So I think what's important to know is that there's been a deferment of the politically facilitated agreement. That's the 10.4 billion rand remuneration deal struck with SAMWU, which the union says is making right on years of not giving workers the pay and the conditions of employment which are rightly theirs. So that's been deferred. It was supposed to be paid on July 1. That hasn't happened. I think it's worth asking some more. And it's been deferred to a date to be decided. So they're not saying they're going to make it in August or that it's going to be in the September payroll. It says it will be deferred to the future. And that was a key requirement of the National Treasury and the Finance Minister, Enoch Godongwana, who said that that simply was unaffordable to the city.
In terms then of that deal, I mean, the thing that I thought was very interesting was right at the beginning and said with, I think, a degree of emphasis by the mayor, the point that Treasury had concluded and confirmed that the next budget is fully funded. If that is the case, that would suggest that Treasury has satisfied itself that what they set out in the budget is supported by the fundamentals of the city's finances, which then raises a question for me, which we wanted to put to Treasury, but you may have some insight. They declined to come on the show. Is why then would they go ahead with including Joburg alongside the other 69? I mean, if you think that somebody's budget looks absolutely on the money, no pun intended, then why would you go ahead with this step?
Well, it looked like, I think what they wanted to see was the ring fencing of the payments to Rand Water and to Eskom, and therefore internally the ring fencing of revenue to City Power and to Johannesburg Water, because that hasn't happened even after the city signed that Metro Services reform process with the National Treasury. So now that's been signed. It happens with electricity to Eskom payment by July, and then Joburg Water by August, and pick it up by September. So I think that's the signal that the National Treasury was waiting for, as well as the deferment of the politically facilitated wage agreement, which was the fourth item in the minister's first letter, maybe second letter, I'm not sure. I think those are the signals they want to see, and therefore they may have now sent the letter saying, okay, your budget is a funded budget.
Let me see if this analogy works, and then maybe you can help me understand this. If I owe money to a lot of people, and some of the money that I need is for essential things in my household life, my family, or whatever it might be, the fact that I can come up with the cash to pay off my most pressing creditor, in this case, with National Treasury doing some of the strong arming, that would, for example, be Eskom. That doesn't necessarily mean my household finances are fine. It just means that I've managed to meet the requirements of the person who has come round to my house with the biggest bouncer.
I think that's a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
And it also means that you're rotating payments, so this month you're not going to pay the pick it up contractors, and next month maybe you're not going to pay your spare parts bill. Therefore, the rate of power cuts we can see is going up substantially through this winter of multi-day power cuts.
So in summary then, I mean, where does this leave the city going forward in terms of the medium term, and one can't say long term with the local government elections where I think significant change might be in the offing. But even in the medium term, I mean, there are a good few months to go. What can the city do with the time that perhaps it's bought by settling with Eskom and Rand Water?
I suppose that's going to bring some relief in that the money it's being spent where it's supposed to be spent. There's another huge Rand Water and Eskom maintenance
That's going to happen later in July and probably take 2 to 3 weeks. So those are important signals if money is being spent on infrastructure. But it's really to get your short-term contractor bills paid so that the urgent fixes to the three systems can happen and people don't sit without water, electricity, and like this week without refuse removal.
And I wonder if you can just clarify one more thing for us, Ferial, because I think this may have been the focus of a question you asked. Correct me if I'm wrong. A reference to UIFWE, and that refers to unauthorized, irregular, fruitless, and wasteful expenditure. Now, the word that the mayor used repeatedly in talking about that, and the numbers are substantial, is regularized. Now, what does regularized mean? Is that in effect you write it off?
So 1.8 billion, he said, had been resolved through proper governance processes. But to understand what happens here, you have to read quite deeply into the Auditor General's report. And what they found was that money is being written off at, I think, a scale and pace we haven't even begun to understand. Because when I just had a squiz at the report earlier, I saw that UIFW spending, the balances fell from 23.7 billion to 13.3 billion, but then almost 20 billion of that was simply written off.
So in other words, this doesn't mean that, actually we've sorted it out. Maybe we've got some of it back. I know that, for example, unauthorized doesn't necessarily mean that people stole money, but it was spent on line items for which it was not originally allocated. But it doesn't mean we've got that money back. It just means there is an accounting treatment that takes that off the books.
Yes, that's what the Auditor General pointed out repeatedly in her report, is that you're writing off without consequence management, that nobody has been held accountable for this. So the Deputy Mayor, Loyiso Masuku, provided some detail on the disciplinary board that is now working to undertake those actions so that the people who made that unauthorized or irregular or fruitless expenditure, they are finally being disciplined.
Thank you so much, Ferial Haffajee, joining us from Daily Maverick. She keeps a very, very close eye indeed, particularly on the Joburg Metro, but on metro issues around the country as well. Executive Mayor Dado Morero is my guest at 5:10, 27 minutes past 4.
EWN Business.
Ray White, a very good afternoon to you. What's happened today?
Oh, John, I listened to your interview in the Middle East earlier on, and it's a bad day on the JSE, also world markets as well. As you know, US President Donald Trump has gone back to his war with Iran. The ceasefire is over, he says, and the US and Iran have launched attacks against each other. This has sent the markets, I'm afraid, into a tailspin. Trump, speaking at a NATO summit in Turkey, said the interim deal reached with Iran last month was over. He also used other words as well, which I won't repeat. And his comments came after the US military launched strikes against Iran overnight. So let's have a look now at what this has caused. The oil share is down as predicted. You can see there's been big problems there with the oil share losing over 1%, but it's more than that, John. If you have a look at some of the other ones as well, specifically the resources at the moment, there's a massive loss there as well. The oil share down 1.27%, 108,926 points. The JSE Top 40 losing about the same. Alpha Min losing 7.5%. Vukile 6%. Northam down about almost 6% as well. Implats 5%. Valterra 5%. And the list goes on and goes on. Gains, of course, for Sasol up at 2.37% at the moment. Was up 6% earlier on. Also gains for Optasia and Omnia as well. Naspers and Prosus 3 days in a row now, seeing gains of up to just over 4%. But a bit of a horror story for the rest of the markets, I'm afraid. Playing out across the world. Also as well, looking at our Brent crude price at the moment, $78.80. John, this time yesterday we were sitting at $73. So you can see exactly what's been happening in the Middle East. Also as well, problems for some of the others too. Our rand has also lost some ground now. 16.39, that's against the US dollar. And Just looking at that yesterday, losing about 15 cents since the same time. That's the dollar, the pound at 21.92, the euro 18.70. So there have been gains or weaknesses rather for the rand on all of these. Platinum $1,588.20. So the platinum price also down. The gold price also down at $4,062.45. So it's not a pretty picture this afternoon. More business news for you in an hour.
Thanks very much, Ray White. It's 4:30. Let's get the latest eyewitness news. An extraordinary story, Mbali Dlamini, involving a kidnapping. What are the details? Good afternoon.
Thanks, John. A very good afternoon. Well, Mpumalanga police are investigating an alleged staged kidnapping involving Marumo Gallants midfielder Thapelo Dludlu. Dludlu is back home following the ordeal that began over a week ago in Malahleni. Police say their investigation now suggests that the soccer player might have faked his own kidnapping and are considering charging him with defeating the ends of justice. Nkosukwana Malingamnisi reports.
Police say Thapelo Dludlu's family reported him missing after receiving a ransom demand of 50,000 rand from an unknown caller using the player's cell phone. A kidnapping for ransom case was opened at Witbank police station last Sunday, prompting an urgent search. But later that day, investigators say the player returned home unharmed. Mpumalanga police spokesperson Mavela Masondo says follow-up investigations indicate that no ransom was ever paid and that the apparent kidnapping may never have happened.
The news of the soccer player's disappearance was brought to the police attention by his family. During the time when his family reported him as missing, his next of kin indicated that he was kidnapped, and currently it is said that he returned home 7 days later unharmed.
Masondo says investigations into the debacle continue. See Kwana Malingamnisi, Eyewitness News.
The KZN government has warned landlords housing undocumented migrants that they will be held accountable. Premier Thamsanqa Ntuli issued the stern warning during a crime-fighting community imbizo held in Mzingazi in northern KZN today, where thousands of community members gathered to discuss ideas to tackle crime. The Premier spoke following remarks by traditional leaders that rented cottages often have become a haven for criminals. Ntuli says the practice must change and is cautioning landlords to take responsibility. He says community cooperation is key to stamping out crime.
Everyone who owns cottages, your tenants must first produce IDs before you grant them permission to live there. Community members, may you please report to the police if there are landlords harboring illegal foreigners so that the police can arrest both that person and the landlord.
At the same time, anti-legal immigration protesters took their campaign to the streets of Bellville in Cape Town today, demanding tougher action against undocumented migrants. Ndutu Zelonene has more.
The group marched to the Department of Home Affairs and the City of Cape Town's municipal offices today. The protesters, most of them South African informal traders, say authorities have failed to deal with the illegal immigration, which they believe is costing South Africans jobs and business opportunities. They claim many foreign nationals operating in Bellville do not have the required documentation or permits to trade legally. They are calling on the municipality to enforce its informal trading bylaws more rigorously. But one of the most noticeable developments today was the unusual quiet Bellville taxi rank and bus terminus. The area, which is normally crowded with foreign national vendors, was largely deserted. Only a handful of South African traders kept their stalls open, while many of the usual trading spaces were empty. Ndutuzelo Nene, Eyewitness News.
And Apple has lost its bid to escape digital competition rules after an EU court rejected the US giant's challenge. Apple appealed the European Union's decision to apply stricter rules known as the Digital Markets Act on its operating system iOS and the App Store. Companies like Apple are designated a gatekeeper under the DMA, and their apps are subject to extra scrutiny as core platform services. The DMA comes with a list of do's and don'ts for the world's biggest digital platforms and an attempt to keep them in check and create an open online space. A fine Thursday in store for Gauteng tomorrow, lows of between 1 and 3 degrees and highs of between 20 and 22.
Roadworks once again causing heavy delays this afternoon. That's in the Sunning Hill area approaching the intersection of Rivonia Road and Witkoppen. Alexandra travelling towards Bedfordview. Expect about a 20-minute delay. N3 southbound from Marlborough Drive to the Galdenes interchange. Boksburg heading towards Brakpan. There's slow-moving traffic. N12 eastbound. This is approaching Rondebold Road.
The top story in EWN. Mpumalanga police are investigating an alleged staged kidnapping involving Marumo Gallants midfielder Tapelo Dlulu.
What is special about this year's 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk is that it returns to where Walk the Talk all started, where we'll be walking in the inner city, celebrating the resurgence of the city of Johannesburg and celebrating the people who make it special. You should take part in this year's 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk because there's so much good stuff happening in the city of Johannesburg. The city is having a moment, and it's thanks to people and organizations who never stopped believing in the power and the magic of the city. So this year, I can't wait to be at the start of this momentous 702 Walk the Talk. I haven't been to Ellis Park in many, many years. So while I might not see you on the route, I'll definitely be at the beginning to see you off as you begin your journey through the inner city. To enter the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, go to primemediaplus.com and we'll see you there on the 26th of July.
This July, experience a world premiere unlike anything Johannesburg has seen before. The Bacchae, an African choral ballet, is a first-of-its-kind collaboration between Joburg Ballet, UJ Arts and Culture, the acclaimed University of Johannesburg Choir, and a live chamber orchestra from the Johannesburg Philharmonic. A bold reimagining of Euripides' timeless classic, this spectacular production fuses ballet, African choral music, and live orchestral performance into one unforgettable theatrical event. See it from 3 to 12 July at the Mandela Theatre at the Joburg Theatre. Book now at web tickets. The Bacchae, an African choral ballet, a landmark world premiere. Don't miss it.
You know when your people are giving their best, not because they're pushed or pressured, but because they feel supported. And support is making sure they're covered. So if something happens, they can get the care they need. FlexiCare Health Insurance makes it simple for every business to protect their people with affordable health cover. You care. We cover. For a tailored FlexiCare quote, speak to your financial advisor today. FlexiCare is not a medical scheme and the cover is not the same. FlexiCare is underwritten by Auto & General, a licensed non-life insurer and FSP, and administered by Discovery Health, an authorized FSP.
Yes! It's Decofern's birthday sale! So, with 15 to 40% off and more, then technically, this $12.99 Josie dining chair is $17.19 for free. Free!
Honey, that's not how maths works.
It's birthday maths. Celebrate our birthday in-store or at decofurnsa.co.za with 15 to 40% and more off absolutely everything. Decofern birthday maths. Don't question it, just save. T's and C's apply.
As we gear up for the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Joburg on Sunday, 26 July, we're inviting you to help us make a difference this winter. 702 Weekend Breakfast with Gugzum Mhlungu, together with MES Homeless Shelter, is running a clothing drive, and we'd love you to be part of it. If you have pre-loved clothing, warm jackets, jerseys, blankets, toiletries, or any non-perishable food items, please donate them. Drop your items off at our 702 studios at 15 Fredman Drive in Sandton. Together, we can bring warmth and dignity to those who need it most. Every single item makes a difference to someone. MES is a registered not-for-profit company that has been changing the hearts of the inner cities of Joburg, Cape Town, Gqeberha and Kempton Park since 1986. 702, let's walk the talk.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
I would like to know, why are international games between different countries only played during the World Cup? Why are African teams chosen to compete against each other throughout the years, against African teams, European teams against European teams, and South Americans limited to their own countries. Why is there not a global competition, like with rugby, like with cricket, where different countries can learn each other's styles, learn from each other, instead of just being limited to what you know? I mean, how do you learn, and how do you not know what your opponents can do if you don't play against them, and if you don't experience, for instance, Africa, the European refs, or vice versa?
Hello, John. I've got a question, not a comment. Last night after the Argentina-Egypt game, during the heated altercations, some of the coaching staff, as well as the Egyptian coach, made like an X with their arms, almost like Orlando Pirates up the Buccaneers. What does that mean? I mean, what is the significance of crossing your arms like that? Is it a swear word? Does it mean I declare a fatwa on you, or does it declare you an infidel? What does that X mean? This is Hendrik from Pretoria.
Okay, so let's just deal with the second question first. Approved at the 74th FIFA Congress in May 2024. And I'm reading from the FIFA site. A global crossed arms gesture is to signal racist abuse. And it's now part of the football protocol at FIFA tournaments. The no racism gesture is designed to empower players, team officials, and referees to take a stand against racism. By crossing their hands at the wrists, players can signal directly to the referee that they are being targeted by racist abuse, prompting the referee to start what is called the 3-step procedure. I won't go into that procedure, but you can read about that on the FIFA site, or just Google it, and there are lots of clear explanations. So that is that. Now, on the question of why don't European countries play against African countries more often, it's quite a complex thing, but I'll try and spell it out. Every continent has their continental tournament. Now, your comparison with rugby is not entirely sustained because so many fewer countries in the world play rugby, and the same would be true for cricket. Now, if you were to have no structure to an international season, given the fact that I think around 220 countries or more are members of FIFA, there wouldn't be any purpose to those games. They would just be a series of friendlies, because you wouldn't be building up any traditions if some of the more than 50 countries in Africa played random friendlies against European countries. So what you have is you have two things going on. Let's just take the African continent. There's qualifying for the African Cup of Nations, which is our continental tournament. They have the Euros in Europe. They have an equivalent in South America. And then secondly, there is qualification on a continental basis for the African places at World Cups. So it's an incredibly full program. I think if you played more friendlies, and there certainly are some every year, against countries from other continents, you certainly learn their playing styles. Don't forget, though, a lot of players from all over the world play, for example, in the European leagues. So they are playing officiated. You use the example of refs, with European refs all the time, on a regular basis. I mean, I could pick Mo Salah from the Egyptian star who played last night. He's played officiated by European refs probably for 15 or 16 years, and maybe even longer. The last point I want to make about that is the rules are the rules. The rules are the rules, and we've seen refs from every corner of the planet. Some of them have been excellent, some have been less than good, but they are all applying the same rules. So I don't think that should matter. 17 minutes to 5.
EWN Sport.
And it's this time of the day when we talk specifically, not just sport, but World Cup football with Anthony Teixeira.
The EWN World Cup Desk. The latest scores, the biggest stories, and the moments everyone's talking about.
Yeah, good afternoon, John. We'll start with the Egyptian Football Federation. They've urged FIFA to kick out the officials in charge of that last 16 exit from the World Cup. The North Africans were beaten 3-2 late on by Argentina, having led by 2 goals with 12 minutes to go in that encounter. The federation says it's lodged a complaint with the football's governing body and wants an investigation into perceived double standards of officiating. The VAR ruled out a goal by Zico when he was penalised when the Africans at the start of that move had fouled an Argentine player. However, they feel that the same courtesy wasn't made when the defending champs scored their stoppage time winner, as Mo Salah was fouled in the Argentine penalty box at the start of that move. Messi and the defending champs will now have a quarter-final clash against Switzerland. This is after the Swiss won the penalty shootouts against Colombia after their match ended goalless. Defender Manuel Akanji reflected on them making the last 8 for the 3rd time in their history and the first time since 1954.
It means a lot to us. It means we worked really hard over the last 6, 7, 8 years. I don't know. We gave a lot into that, and yeah, I think the hard work got paid off. But we're not done yet. We try to give our all in the next round, and hopefully we can advance to the semi-final.
No matches today, with the quarter starting tomorrow as Africa's last hope, Morocco, take on the 2-time winners, France. Meanwhile, FIFA have opened an investigation over alleged racist abuse to Aisho Speed as he received an Argentina's 3-2 win over Cape Verde last Friday. On the influencer's YouTube channel, he was confronted by South American supporters in the stand. FIFA in a statement called the World Cup a celebration of unity, diversity and respect, and those who undermine the values of community are not welcome. This comes days after Kylian Mbappe was targeted by a Paraguayan senator who made a number of racist remarks noting his origin as well as education. The Football Federation since has announced plans to file criminal charges over the remarks. Anthony Teixeira, Eyewitness News Sport.
From kickoff to the final whistle, this is the EWN World Cup Desk.
EWN Traffic.
14 minutes to 5. This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now, and you can save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. We had Edenvale earlier. We've got Sunning Hill jamming up a little bit. Here's Karabo Charlie. He is your guide.
Yeah, there's roadworks. This is heading into Rivonia. Sunning Hill, there's roadworks causing heavy delays approaching the intersection of Rivonia Road and Witkoppen. In Alexandra, also expect about a 20-minute delay. N3 southbound from Marlborough Drive to the Geldenes interchange. Boksburg traffic also sluggish. N12 eastbound approaching Rondebult, that's heading towards Brakpan due to roadworks. Northcliffe, expect some delays on Bayers Nodia between Judges and the N1. And in Irene, traffic heavily backed up on Main Road approaching Nelmay Pierce Drive. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Clever excuses for being late, number 96. My dog ran out, and I had to chase him for 5 kilometers. Fortunately, with the Outsurance pointsman on the roads, you no longer have to come up with creative excuses for being late. The Outsurance pointsmen have been easing traffic congestion so we all get to where we need to be quickly and safely for the past 20 years. With Outsurance, you really always get something out. In partnership with 702, Outsurance is a licensed insurer in the FSP.
Aubrey Masango.
Weekday evenings,
8 to midnight.
We are in a very good space with regards to the work that the Madlanga Commission is doing and the revelations that are coming out. But I would argue that we dare not lose our vigilance. Most of us would say, man, we should be positive, bro, man. Hey, have a positive outlook, bro, man. Sure, I'm happy for a positive outlook. But we, the Republic of South Africa, are the focus of a global players from the east to the west, from the north to the south, that are looking to take a piece of the South African pie.
Aubrey Masango.
8 to midnight on 702.
702.
The 139 million Rand Powerball Extra cascading jackpot has been won. 3 people each walked away with over 45.7 million Rand. The tickets were bought on the Standard Bank and FNB apps and in-store Checkers Hyper in Alberton. Congratulations! And don't forget to play Lotto this Wednesday with total estimated Lotto jackpots of 20.5 million Rand. The next winner could be you. The National Lottery. More plays, more chances, more millions. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. The National Lottery is officially operated by Sizekaya.
Sure, they aced it. The Championship's Wimbledon experience with the Mzansi Advantage is back at Amex Tennistown Monte Casino between 11 and 12 July 2026. Enjoy VIP hospitality, the ultimate big screen experience, a kids fun zone, and so much more. Buy your tickets now on Howler and get 50% off on limited tickets when you use your Amex card. Tennis is better with Amex. American Express Cards is operated under license in South Africa by Nedbank, a licensed financial services and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Take control of your equipment, your billing, and your revenue with PumaTech. Built for all sized businesses in rental, construction, scaffolding, plant hire, and mining. PumaTech gives you real-time, on-site visibility of everything. Your equipment, your materials, across sites, yards, and branches. Simplify stock control, reduce losses, and manage your billing. All in one powerful, locally built platform. PumaTech. Know where everything is.
Whether you're following every match or just the ones that matter most, stay connected to 702 Cape Talk and awn.co.za to stay connected to the world's greatest game.
702 Drive. Well, let's get into the fallout from last night's match in Atlanta between Egypt and Argentina. Egypt led 2-0 deep into the game. Argentina came back and won the game 3-2, but there were many controversial incidents, and there's been significant anger and outrage from the Egyptian camp, from many of the commentators who follow the game, and indeed from football fans around the world. So what are the issues, and are they being fairly represented? Mark Leeson was at the game, covering it in the stadium in Atlanta, and of course he's covered football in general, but football on the African continent for a number of decades, and attended every World Cup since 1994. Mark, a very good afternoon to you. I haven't heard language as strong and outrage as focused, I think, possibly ever at a World Cup before. Do the Egyptians have grounds to be as angry as they are? Good afternoon.
Hi, John. I think perhaps a little, but I mean, first of all, let's deal with the conspiracy theory which the coach Hossam Hassan floated, which I think was a complete load of nonsense. To think that sort of these men in blazers at FIFA headquarters sit and conjure up these scenarios where Egypt lead 2-0 with 11 minutes to go and somehow Argentina win the game, I think is fairly preposterous. And his suggestion that, Argentina were made to win for marketing reasons was a bit of sour grapes. You've got to know a lot about Hossam Hassan to understand where he's coming from. He's never been a man of... I would say much losing culture.
Yes.
So, I mean, conspiracy theories in football are basically a fair load of nonsense. I mean, in our own country, of course, Ivan Korza, for example, being chairman of the PSL and favouring Orlando Pirates, it took them, if that was true, that he would manipulate things in his team's favour, he did a very bad job. It took them, 12, 14 years to finally win the title. So I think we've got to throw all of those conspiracy theories out the window. That's a load of nonsense. But some of those VAR decisions certainly are worth debating. The first one in particular, when they pulled back that goal from Mustafa Zico after 62 minutes, it was a foul on the Argentine. There was a push and there was a pull of his jersey, and there was also a stamp on his foot. And I think that is perhaps a legitimate reason to call that goal back. Although, if you're Egyptian, you would feel that the consistency on those decisions, and they've let a lot of those go in the World Cup, has not been great. But strictly speaking, contact on his ankle by the Egyptian on Lisandro Martinez's ankle meant that they called that thing back. Then there was the other big talking point was Salah fouled in the penalty area just before the Argentines score? I think if you look at that incident, and had they given that penalty, most commentators would have said that was pretty soft. But you can understand the Egyptian frustration. I mean, so close to what would have been one of the great World Cup upsets, only to give it away. And ultimately, I think what has not been discussed in the wake of this loss was how do you let a 2-goal lead slip? And how did they let the Argentines back into the game? I think they must look at themselves first before they set off on this long blame game.
There have been other things said that in the very first game, and I don't recall the name of the player, but that Messi was guilty of a studs-up challenge. At the very least, he should have been booked. I don't know if he was. I can't recall. But that was a serious one. Yeah,
and wasn't. And sorry to interrupt you, but that is perhaps the worst refereeing decision we've seen at this final. And it was the first game, and I think the referee was wrong, and I feel he was maybe a little overawed and a bit scared to give this iconic player a severe sanction in the opening game. He probably would have never reffed a World Cup again. Sorry.
No, but I mean, when you look at that, I mean, your point about conspiracies will get a lot of people talking. But even if it's not a conspiracy, do you get patterns where popular players, iconic players get favored? I mean, we chatted a couple of days back on a very specific degree of leniency showed to Ronaldo, this in the context of the decision made around the American player, Folarin Balogun. So one for Ronaldo, one for Messi. I mean, of FIFA not making a stick that other people can use to beat them, and severely so. Mark, I don't know if you're still there. Okay. Let's sort out Mark's line, and we'll bring him back as soon as we've got him.
702 Afternoons
with Relebohile Maboja, 1 to 3 p.m.
So, what is the best way to explain religious psychosis?
The first thing that needs to be clarified is what psychosis is. So, there is no diagnosis that is religious psychosis. The diagnosis is a psychotic disorder. What the religious psychosis element is that we're referring to can be hallucinations, it can be delusions, but it's a symptom. It is a flavor of a symptom. The symptom is a delusion, and the delusion can take on a religious flavor.
I got you.
But religious psychosis isn't a thing. Psychotic disorders are a thing.
Clinical psychologist and mental health activist Viwe Dweba.
702 Afternoons
with Relebohile Maboja.
Let's walk the talk.
The Busgate Soweto String Ensemble returns to the Linda Auditorium, and this year's highlights include Mozart's Serenata Notturna and Brooks' moving Col Nidre, with Koketso Mpela as the cello soloist. From Brahms to Amapiano, expect a thrilling mix of classical and Afro-pop. Support one of South Africa's most inspiring arts organizations at the Linda Auditorium on Sunday, 19 July at 3 p.m. Book your tickets now at Quicket.
Do you ever call you like to sell? But don't trust your uncle or your pal. Then we buy cars just for you. Buying cars is what we do. We offer service with a smile. We always go the extra mile. Use a place that you trust and sell your car to us.
We Buy Cars, the easiest way to sell your car by far.
Smart business decisions save money. Switch to Outsurance Business Insurance and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. Here's JC from Blonde Hair Studio.
I was with my previous insurer for many years before switching over to Outsurance Business Insurance. I'm really happy with the premium I'm paying now, and switching was definitely one of the best decisions for my business.
Get a quote to switch and save today. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 0800 60,000. Licensed insurer in FSP. TCs and information online.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
Let's get back and talk to Mark Leeson. Mark, I was just saying that special treatment for iconic players, Ronaldo getting that suspension which allowed him to play right from the start of World Cup 2026. You said appalling decision around Messi in Game 1. I mean, is FIFA not to some degree A, doing this and B, creating a problem for itself?
No, I don't think FIFA's doing it, but I do think it has happened. I don't think there's a pattern either, but I do think it has happened. It's human nature and it's human error. And Messi should really have got a sanction in that first game, and I think the referee bottled it because he kind of thought to himself, if I send Messi off now in the opening game of the World Cup, in his opening game of the World Cup, can you imagine the fallout? So I don't think I think that's human nature, and that happens. That happened when you and I were covering soccer in the 80s and 90s with Kaiser Chiefs, you'll remember. So and there wasn't a big fat conspiracy theory, but it did happen every now and then that the referees thought, I'm not so sure I'm going to give this one against Doc Kamalo or Asen Solengwe or one of those great superstars.
And just finally, I mean, is this a storm that blows over, or is, again, because the World Cup's had its controversies in regard to the treatment of the US player that I referred to a moment ago, are people starting to question whether the World Cup is fair, or do you think it doesn't go that deep?
No, I don't think it goes that deep, and I think it'll all be forgotten by the time we have the next exciting game in the quarterfinals. But obviously, there is a little bit of a shadow over the political, I would say, influence on FIFA, particularly Infantino's rather odious relationship with Trump. And I do think there's going to be post-World Cup fallout on a political level in the administration of FIFA. I think now he might find that his hold on the presidency might be loosened a little bit by his own actions. But as far as the football fans are concerned, it's an off day, so focus is all on that Egypt game. But tomorrow, Morocco, France, I think we'll be delighting in something else. Hopefully an African success.
Thanks so much, Mark Gleeson, on the line to us from Atlanta. Your thoughts, please, on 072 702 1702. It's 5 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Treasury to probe tenders following Madlanga evidence, and Pick It Up may soon be able to pick up where it left off. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. National Treasury has launched a forensic investigation into claims that a former senior official improperly influenced the awarding of multi-billion rand government contracts. The move follows explosive testimony before the Madlanga Commission and comes as public scrutiny over government procurement intensifies. Anelita Fandese reports.
Treasury says it is probing the awarding of several transversal contracts after allegations surfaced that a former employee interfered in procurement decisions. Transversal contracts are large procurement agreements managed by the Office of the Chief Procurement Officer on behalf of multiple government departments. While Treasury oversees the tender process, participating departments help evaluate bids and decide on technical requirements before purchasing directly from appointed suppliers. External forensic investigators have now been appointed to determine whether the allegations are true. Treasury has pledged to make the findings public in the interest of transparency and good governance. The department says it has already begun providing documents requested by the Madlanga Commission and will continue to cooperate fully with its work, adding that any misconduct uncovered will be met with consequence management. Anelita Fandese, Eyewitness News.
Struggling waste collection entity Pick It Up will soon be able to tap into its 2.1 billion rand cash reserves. The city of Johannesburg has agreed to ring-fence at least 70% of the entity's revenue so that it's reinvested back into waste collection services. This was announced at a media briefing in Johannesburg today. Thabiso Koba was there.
EWN recently reported Pick It Up was sitting on more than 2 billion rand in cash reserves, while facing a myriad of issues which include an aging fleet, not being able to pay its service providers, and labour strikes. This is because the revenue generated by Pick It Up goes into a central fund called a sweeping account, which is managed and administered by the Johannesburg municipality. However, Johannesburg Mayor Dada Morero says that will no longer be the case.
And that is why introducing the ring-fencing will then address that matter into the future. Then Pick It Up will have its own cash directly into the account that they can then have control of their money.
Morero says the ring fencing will work on a 70-30 basis, with 70% of Pick It Up's revenue going back to the entity and 30% going to the municipality's central fund. Thabiso Koba, Eyewitness News, Johannesburg.
Health Minister Aaron Motsoaledi has slammed some austerity measures imposed by Treasury, saying they prevent the Department of Health from functioning optimally. Motsoaledi says this has a knock-on effect on operations and it's also a major contributor to the well-being challenges faced by healthcare workers. He was speaking at a briefing alongside the Health Ombudsman in Pretoria today. This is where the Health Ombud released a report into the deaths of 4 medical professionals in KZN last year. Although the report has cleared KZN hospitals of any wrongdoing, Motsoaledi says more needs to be done to safeguard the well-being of healthcare workers.
Austerity. And we said in the same way that corruption that happens in the public service, which we are busy fighting every day, is not a victimless crime. But I must also state that austerity is also not a victimless occurrence. It victimizes the public, especially those who use the public healthcare system.
Eastern Cape Police say they are closing in on those behind the murder of ANC ward councillor Celo Mleve, with a second suspect now in custody. Mleve was shot dead during a community meeting at a ward office in Zwide last month. 2 armed men allegedly stormed the venue, held about 10 people at gunpoint, demanded their cell phones and then opened fire. The killing sent shockwaves through the community, raising fresh questions about the safety of public representatives. Last week, police arrested the first suspect in Gwazakele. Eastern Cape Police spokesperson Nobuntu Nkantana.
A second accused in the Councillor Celo Mleve murder case appeared at the New Brighton Magistrates Court today. Ahlumile Stofile, a 21-year-old male, was arrested on 7 July 2026. He will be appearing along his co-accused Lufunolwethu Nyodi at the same court on Friday 10 July 2026 for a formal bail application.
And in Syria, authorities have released further details of 2 blasts that hit central Damascus during French President Emmanuel Macron's visit yesterday. In a statement, government confirms that 1 person was killed and dozens others injured. Syria's Interior Ministry said 1 bomb was placed inside a car parked on the side of the road, while the second was planted in a garbage container. The blast hit near the Ministry of Tourism building in Damascus, a short distance from the hotel where Macron has spent the night. Macron became the first head of state from the European Union to visit Syria since the fall of longtime ruler Bashar al-Assad in 2024. Gold is trading at $4,039.72 an ounce. The rand is at 16.44 to the dollar, 21.98 to the pound, 18.75 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $76.47 a barrel.
Leaving the Pretoria CBD, heading towards Hermanstad, traffic congested on Eskiam-Pahlele between WF Nkomo and the R80. Sunning Hill roadwork still causing heavy delays approaching the intersection of Rivonia Road and Witkoppen. And in Irene, traffic heavily backed up on Main Road approaching the Maypierce Drive.
And in your sports, the latest from the first quarterfinal of Wimbledon's action for the day. Former Springbok number 8, Dwayne Vermeulen, reflects on current number 8, Jasper Visser, and a junior Springbok prop test positive for banned substance.
A fine Thursday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Johannesburg drops to overnight lows of 3 degrees, peaking at 20. Pretoria 3 and 22, and Vereeniging 1 and 20 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour: National Treasury has launched a forensic investigation into claims that a former senior official improperly influenced the awarding of multi-billion rand government contracts.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
On Sunday, 26 July, 7:02 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk unites us all in the iconic Joburg CBD. 7:02 Walk the Talk. Abize bonke. Enter now on primemediaplus.com.
7:02.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
on 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
8 minutes past 5 on 7:02 Drive. It's good to have you with us on the show. Coming up shortly, we'll engage with Joburg's Executive Mayor, Dada Morero. Joburg City's finances very much in the spotlight, alongside, it should be said, the finances of 69 other municipalities and metros. This because National Treasury earlier in the week confirmed that it was going to be withholding certain payments that were due in July from national to local government, and that's because of issues with the way in which debt was being managed and other financial concerns. The executive mayor with us shortly, but first let's just update you on the very latest traffic news. It's 9 minutes past 5.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by OUTsurance. SMS out to 45142 now. You could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Hermanstad is our latest trouble spot. What's happening there, Karabo?
Yeah, that's if you are leaving the Pretoria CBD. Traffic congested. This is on Eskiam Pahlele between WF Nkomo and the R18. Not clear what's causing that delay at this stage. If you are leaving the Pretoria CBD and heading towards that area, please let us know what's happening on Eskiam Pahlele. You can WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702. Sunning Hill roadwork still causing heavy delays approaching the intersection of Rivonia Road and Witkoppen. Irene traffic also heavily backed up on Main Road heading towards Napiers Drive. For the latest traffic updates, you can also follow us on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
30 minutes watching your favorite series goes by quickly, but 30 minutes stuck in traffic feels like a lifetime. Thankfully, the OUTsurance pointsmen are here to save the day. These heroes in green and purple have been easing traffic congestion for the past 20 years. The OUTsurance pointsmen helping everyone get where they need to be quickly and safely. Just another way you always get something out. In proud partnership with 702, show them some love online using #PointsmenLove. OUTsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
There's been some dispute between our authorities and the Nigerian government who've demanded justice and threatened even international action, claiming 2 of its nationals have been killed in South Africa in the last month. The timing, of course, could not be more charged following ongoing demonstrations demanding that undocumented foreigners leave this country. Might we get a trade blowback, the continent hurting us where we might feel it the most?
I think so, yes. And I think that's sort of in 2 ways, both in terms of, economic relationships and trade, but also in the fact that we suddenly, really expelled thousands of people who were putting into the economy here.
Dr. Rebecca Walker.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
The 139 million Rand Powerball Extra cascading jackpot has been won. 3 people each walked away with over 45.7 million Rand. The tickets were bought on the Standard Bank and FNB apps and in-store Checkers Hyper in Alberton. Congratulations, and don't forget to play Lotto this Wednesday with total estimated Lotto jackpots of 20.5 million Rand. The next winner could be you. The National Lottery, more plays, more chances, more millions. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. The National Lottery is officially operated by Sizekaya.
As a business owner, you're always looking for ways to save money. But have you looked at saving on your business insurance premium? With OUTsurance Business Insurance, you could save big, like Bosmansdam High School.
We were with our previous insurance for 10 years plus before switching to OUTsurance Business Insurance.
We are saving 3,705 Rand per month.
It was so quick and easy, we should have switched sooner.
Ready to switch and save? Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
Joburg is more than just a city. It's an energy, a pulse, and a feeling connecting everybody. The heart of Mzansi.
It's Joburg.
In celebration of this, 702 has partnered with Jozi My Jozi, and we're calling on you to walk through the city center with us.
Walk the talk.
In the 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk. Babize bonke. On Sunday, 26 July, we're going to the iconic Joburg CBD, the home of dream creators and operators, where we dominate and history make. So join us and be a part of something special.
I'm ready to rock this morning.
Because when Joburg walks together, extraordinary things happen. Enter now on primemediaplus.com and get ready for 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk this July, hosted by the City of Johannesburg. Walk with the people, for our Josie. Bamise bonke. Enter Walk the Talk now on primemediaplus.com.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive. Let's focus then on the finances of the city of Johannesburg. As I mentioned earlier, Joburg, alongside 69 other municipalities, some of them metros, Buffalo City and Mangaung, come to mind in that regard, under some disciplinary measures, I think it's fair to say, from National Treasury, with certain allocations that should flow from national to local government being withheld pending certain things being sorted out. To talk about this specifically in regard to Johannesburg, we're joined now by Johannesburg's Executive Mayor, Dada Morero. Executive Mayor, welcome and thanks very much for giving us your time. In your opening remarks, you talk about the fact that National Treasury confirmed that the city's next budget, 26-27, is funded, and you say this is comforting feedback, as it confirms that our financial management is okay and has not reached a crisis state. The fact that we're not in any kind of financial crisis is something you emphasized on a number of occasions in your presentation earlier today. But my question to you, Executive Mayor, would be this. If the city is not in any kind of financial crisis, why does it appear to be moving from one financial crisis to another? For example, last month we heard from MMC Kenny Kunene that JRA couldn't put vehicles on the road because they didn't have fuel. We hear from the city's transport committee that JRA only pays 30% of its suppliers within the legally required 30 days. This doesn't seem to me, as an outsider, although a resident, to be a city where the finances are flowing as they should.
Well, thanks, John, and good afternoon to you. Let me first indicate the National Treasury requirements that they had raised. And National Treasury had them said to withhold our equitable share unless the following requirements are done. One, which relates to our arrangement with payment of the debt with Eskom. And secondly, how we are dealing with unauthorized, irregular, wasteful, fruitless and wasteful expenditure. And we did then provide the reports. Last week we had a council meeting that approved the strategy on unauthorized expenditure, which was one of the things that we had to comply to. Secondly, we had to comply to the commitment we have made to Eskom, which letters we should receive by today and tomorrow, one from Rand Water and one from Eskom, which is letters of commitment. And once those have been demonstrated, we will then forward to National Treasury, who have then made a commitment that on receipt of those documents, they will then be able to effect our equitable share. Now, the second part that I would want to deal with is, yes, we have had challenges in terms of cash flow, which is as a result of the low collection rate, which is sitting between 84 and 86%. And in fact, we should be pushing our collection to 90%. So the weaknesses has really been on the collection rate that the city has been faced with, and we are trying to focus on it to improve our collection rate. The second aspect that has resulted in the cash flow challenges is cash or expenditure management, which are now putting a focus on so that we balance our expenditure against our revenue. So that's what we're trying to do, and these are the efforts that we're putting in place. We can also say we have not reached a stage where we could say we're in a crisis mode. We are still able to honor the commitments of the city month to month. There are instances where some suppliers have still not been paid, and we're doing everything we can to ensure that those suppliers are also being paid and paid on time. And that is the challenge that we're trying to to fix, but it has been affected in the main by our collection rate, which has not been showing growth.
Yes.
And until we are able to maintain it constantly at 90% and above, we think the city will now say we've actually reached a stage where we want to be financial. And that is why our budget has passed. It has been passed at the revenue assumption of about 87% because we needed to pass a realistic budget. So we've agreed in passing the budget that it will be at 87%, which is the basic or normal collection rate that we, on month to month, were able to reach.
Executive Mayor, surely there is a distinction between meeting the requirements from Treasury that were quite specific, and you've outlined exactly what they refer to. I'll come to the unauthorized and other kinds of expenditure in a moment. But there's a difference surely there between that and saying that you have a financially well-functioning city, which you seem to be saying in a number of your remarks in the press conference. Now, I return to the examples I gave, but let me add another one. For example, the completion of the much-needed Brixton Reservoir, which was essential to delivering water to a huge number of people in Johannesburg, was delayed because suppliers and contractors were not paid. And this is a persistent problem in Johannesburg. Is that purely an administrative problem, or does it reflect the fact that the city is financially stretched and strained, and what you're doing is trying to please your most pressing creditors first? In this instance, National Treasury, not a creditor, but certainly somebody who was putting you under pressure.
Now, John, I think the issue that I've tried to present to you is a cash flow issue and it's expenditure management. So over time, administratively, they've been spending more than what we have. Secondly, the revenue has not been increasing to the level that we wanted to increase, and a number of factors related to that. And the bulk of our debtors book is really domestic or household, meaning that there are challenges in households. It could be economic reasons, it could be unemployment, it could be all sorts of issues. That is why I've been battling to get it to where we want to get it. And it is important to then acknowledge that, yes, we do have challenges of cash flow. And as a result of that, it affects our ability to pay our contractors on time, which then results in some of the projects delayed and taking longer than they should. But in trying to remedy the situation, there are things that the city is doing. One of the things is ring-fencing, especially of our service entities, their revenue, to try and ensure that Joburg Water as Joburg Water can manage its own revenue and be able to deploy it in infrastructure deployment. So that's what we are doing firstly. 1st of July, we've already started with Joburg Water. In September, we'll then onboard City Power, and 2 months later, probably towards the end of the year, we'll then onboard Pick It Up, so that we ring-fence their revenues, and it will help us in the long term to ensure that some of these things that are cash flow related, delays in payment of contractors, is also addressed. But there's focus that we are doing as the city, politically, both administrative and political, to address that problem once and for all, which is a cash flow management issue, it's an expenditure issue, and of course the revenue collection issue.
So if you look at the Auditor General's report, the most recent one, if we look at, for example, Joburg Water and the fact that so many residents of the city don't get the water that they're entitled to based on the rates and fees that they pay. This is what the Auditor General said, which suggests that even if you do ring fence that money, you've got deeper problems. The lack of maintenance was due to inadequate maintenance planning, poor execution of planned maintenance activities, and insufficient oversight to ensure that maintenance requirements were prioritized and implemented. That would point, I put to you, Executive Mayor, would point to another one of your fundamental problems around the city's finances, that vast amounts of our water, I think more than any other metro in the country, goes to waste because the pipes leak.
Well, the investment into infrastructure maintenance over the years has not been at the percentage that it should be at.
Why not?
And if you look at it's historical issues and the decisions that were made by those that were there before would have made particular decisions. Probably part of their decision was to invest in new infrastructure because there was possible redress of the previous dispensation, which had to be done, and perhaps it contributed to lack of also focusing on maintenance of the current or the existing infrastructure. So what we have then done in this budget was to increase our maintenance budget to at least 7.9%, with an intention to try and grow it further so that we can focus on the infrastructure that is aged, that is overstressed. In fact, if you speak to the water business, bulk of our pipes are leaking and we're losing a lot of water as a result of leakages. But if you look at the investment into infrastructure has been quite lower, and that is why we are trying to increase in this budget. We've just set aside just under 2 billion, which we are trying to focus that, but we actually need about 3 billion annually for the next 10 years.
Can I jump in there and ask you, Executive Mayor, because you're talking about how you're going to get more money to fix the infrastructure, but you're not indicating how you're going to deal with the problem identified as a fundamental problem by the Auditor General. And by the way, not for the first time, that even if you had enough money, this entity is not sufficiently well run to put that money to effective use.
It will not be necessarily factual. We have identified where the problem is, and that is why we can tell you that we're losing so much as a result of technical issues, and we're also losing so much as a result of non-technical issues. And we can also demonstrate that the investment of this much will translate in the savings of this much. So, for example, we know that what we are doing now will help us. We only managed in the last financial year to do about 84 kilometers, which is quite small. Joburg accounts for about 12,500 kilometers of water network and another 11,000 or so of sewer network. So it is important, therefore, that we start investing in that to reduce the losses. And once we reduce those losses, we'll also be making a saving. So there's a turnaround plan that Joburg and the city has adopted. The investments we have done in this budget at about 1.9 billion into the water infrastructure, and further to that, there's another 500 million that we have budgeted for, and we're able to raise from the capital market to focus on reservoirs. We've got 19 reservoirs that we have been doing since the beginning of the last financial year. We also have to on board in this financial year another 19. We've got a total of about 45 reservoirs that have collapsed. They are old. So we are doing the investment, but unfortunately you can't take the whole money or revenue of the city and put it in one pot.
I want to just conclude, Executive Mayor, by returning to where we started with you, and you said one of the issues that Treasury had put on the table was unauthorized, irregular, fruitless and wasteful expenditure. And you detailed today as to how that is being dealt with. I want to ask you what the term regularized means. Does regularized mean, in effect, that what you're doing is you're writing this off? You are saying, okay, we accept that this has happened, and as an accounting treatment, this is going to be sorted out. But presumably, regularizing does not mean in any way recovery of that money that's either been misused or misplaced.
You are correct, John. And remember what it means. Irregular expenditure does not say money was lost or money was stolen.
But fruitless and wasteful does.
No. The city did receive the service that it was procured for. It could have been, for example, the process leading up to that procurement was irregular because it was not in the budget. There could be a number of reasons that are explained. Wasteful could also mean you received the service, but the service that had been procured was nonetheless not utilized, and that is why it will be referred to as wasteful. And now the city or the FMMA requires that on wasteful expenditure, we exhaust all avenues to even take the officials responsible to a disciplinary process where they can explain what has happened.
Yes.
Then we then say, this matters where we can no longer recover and we have satisfied ourselves of the disciplinary process. We can therefore regularize this expenditure and take it to council, and it moves away from being irregular to regular because we went through the necessary process to investigate that expenditure, which is allowed within the law or within the FMMA, that we must undergo that process. And if it was satisfied of whether the service was there, the service was proper, but the process of procurement was irregular, we then go to council and approve and regularize that amount of money.
Thank you so much. We'll have to leave it there with Executive Mayor Dada Morero. We thank him for his time on 702 Drive, 29 minutes past 5.
EWN Business.
Ray White, the very latest from the markets, please, and a look ahead to the Money Show, which we are looking forward to. Over to you.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. Well, Wall Street's main indices have fallen after US President Donald Trump said an interim deal aimed at ending the war with Iran was over. Speaking at the NATO summit, Trump said he had no interest in engaging further with Iran. This has been adding to tensions. Now, Trump called Iranian leaders all sorts of bad names, which I won't go into. Well, as a result, oil prices have extended gains, I'm afraid, with Brent crude futures and US West Texas intermediate crude futures both rising more than 5%. Brent crude now is $79.91, was $73 this time yesterday. That's for Brent crude. Back home, the oil share down 1.79% at 108,346 points at the close. Losses for resources as well. Implats, Valterra, Harmony, and others all losing between 4 and 7% today. On the other side, and as predicted, Sasol up about 4% at the close, Grindrod gaining about 3%. Also Naspers and Process making gains today. Tencent, of course, disposed of shares of a rival, while Process announced it had capped its tender offer. Looking at the rand, also losing ground, I'm afraid. Now 16.46, that's to the dollar. 21.99 to the pound. 18.76, that's the euro. Platinum, our metals also losing some value this afternoon. Platinum now $1,572.20, and gold is down to $4,029.45. Well, coming up on the Money Show, the Middle East, as you've just heard, is at war again, and I'll be having a look at what this means for South Africa's local economy if this does continue over the next couple of weeks. Then a new index, John, has found that CEOs are not keeping their companies up to date with the latest tech, and it's costing them hundreds of thousands of rands. It's also been found that unskilled retail workers continue to bear the brunt of low pay in South Africa. And our shapeshifter tonight, I'm looking forward to this. I think I'll have some coffee. It's Stephen Bradell. He's the CEO and co-founder of Plato Coffee, and he's got quite a story to tell. So that's coming up on your Money Show this evening. Ray White, EWN Business.
Thanks very much, Ray. 6 to 8, don't miss it. The Money Show on 702. 28 minutes away from that Money Show, 28 to 6. The latest eyewitness news with Mbali Dlamini. Good afternoon.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. The EFF has warned that National Treasury's decision to withhold the equitable share funding of 69 municipalities could collapse the state. The EFF says the move to withhold the funds, which are used mostly for basic services for communities, could lead the country into the hands of the private sector and NGOs. Yesterday, Treasury announced it was withholding those funds as part of a crackdown on municipalities with persistent financial failures. Babalondenze has more.
The decision to suspend the transfer of equitable share funds to municipalities has met a mixed reaction from political parties and members of parliament. The EFF warned the Finance Department against pursuing what it calls a path that seeks to collapse the state and reduce it to a mere spectator, handing over decisions on the fate of the country to the private sector. While parties like the MK Party have rejected the move, others have welcomed the step against poorly managed municipalities. Chairperson of Scopa,
Songezo Zibi is one of those in favor of the decision.
You can't ask taxpayers to keep giving you money that you then waste and it goes to corruption. So I agree with the step the Treasury has taken.
But the MK party says withholding funds can weaken already fragile municipalities and deepen service disruption. Babalo Ndenze, Eyewitness News.
The KZN government has warned landlords housing undocumented migrants that they will be held accountable. Premier Tamintuli issued the stern warning during a crime-fighting community imbizo held in Mzingazi in northern KZN today, where thousands of community members gathered to discuss ideas to tackle crime. The Premier spoke following remarks by traditional leaders that rented cottages are becoming a haven for criminals. Ntuli says the practice must change and is cautioning landlords to take responsibility.
Everyone who owns cottages, your tenants must first produce IDs before you grant them permission to live there. Community members, may you please report to the police if there are landlords harboring illegal foreigners so that the police can arrest both that person and the landlord.
And in Pakistan, the death toll following 3 militant attacks in the southwest of the country has risen to 42. According to reports, the attacks on civilians and security personnel lasted 4 days. The casualties include civilians as well as police, as well as soldiers. A fine Thursday in store for Gauteng tomorrow, lows of between 1 and 3 degrees and highs of between 20 and 22.
Irene, there's still bumper traffic. This is on Main Road approaching the Maypierce Drive. Centurion heading towards Linwood. Also expect some delays. N1 northbound from John Foster to the R21 Flying Saucer interchange, leaving the Pretoria CBD. Traffic congested in Hermanstad on Eskiam Pahlele between WF Nkomo and the R80.
A top story in EWN. The EFF has warned that National Treasury's decision to withhold the equitable share funding of 69 municipalities could collapse the state.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
What we are seeing from the public protector, in a way, gives credence to this narrative that there are two Cape Towns. So you have this world-class city, these affluent areas that are taken care of, and then you've got these impoverished communities that are simply not serviced the same.
I absolutely understand and accept those realities. It'd be dishonest of me not to accept them. But the biggest rate-limiting challenge for us in terms of our response as it pertains to sewer collapses specifically is the fact that it is impossible for us to access these areas because of the structures that prevent our teams from going in.
Councillor Zahid Bedruddin, who is the MMC for Water and Sanitation in the city of Cape Town.
Clement Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
When you're walking the 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk on Sunday, 26 July, keep your eyes open because Mazda is bringing wonder to the 8-kilometer route. There'll be 5 Mazda one-day experiences, including a piano performance, a world of color, a bubble field, a Japanese garden, and the Mazda Wonder Hub. Visit one of the 5, then capture and share your wonder moment on Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok. Tag and follow at Mazda SA using hashtag Mazda SA, and you could win your share of 50,000 Rand. Mazda, where wonder awaits. T's and C's apply.
At the 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk, snap and share any one of 5 Mazda Wonder experiences using hashtag Mazda SA to stand a chance to win a share of 50,000 Rand.
Sure, they aced it. The Championship's Wimbledon experience with the Mzansi Advantage is back at Amex Tennistown Monte Casino between 11 and 12 July 2026. Enjoy VIP hospitality, the ultimate big screen experience, a kids fun zone, and so much more. Buy your tickets now on Howler and get 50% off on limited tickets when you use your Amex card. Tennis is better with Amex. American Express Cards is operated under license in South Africa by Nedbank, a licensed financial services and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Evening, John and 702 listeners. I think what the mayor is actually trying to say, in a very roundabout way, is that they're spending a ton of money, a ton of our tax money, and nothing is getting done. I almost ran over 3 potholes because I was just completely glazed over with frustration. hearing that there is so much money being spent and I can't see a single dime of it anywhere in the city.
Yeah, let's keep your messages coming. And I know a lot of you wanted to respond to the Egypt-Argentina issue that we discussed with Mark Leeson. We'll try and fit in some of those voice notes as well. In fact, we might do that now.
Hey, John. I'm listening to this guy, Mark, and he seems biased. I mean, honestly, yeah, I don't care how many World Cups he's seen. But what, did he only witness that one foul against Lisandro Martinez? Did he not see how aggressive and the kind of tackles that Argentina were putting on these Egyptian players, and no cards were given to them? Nah, man. I think there is an agenda. Presto from Benoni.
Good day, John. While respecting Mark Gleason's experience and opinion on soccer, I mean, he's covered soccer from the 80s, as he says, and everything, but I think his opinion on this matter is quite bollocks. It's nonsense. It's dated, and he's not partial. It's just a lot of rubbish. I'm really sorry.
Switching was definitely one of the best decisions for my business.
Hi, John. Vuyania from Springs. How many bad decisions that favors Argentina and Messi we should see first until we see a pattern? This thing has been going for far too long now, and it's no longer funny anymore.
Yeah, I mean, the last point for me is an interesting one, where if people at some point start saying, I'm not enjoying the game because I don't trust the game, that is, you're over a very, very particular line in a sport. Mark's view, that's going to go into the wings with the very next thrilling match, but maybe you've got a different view. Keep those coming on 011 883 0702. By the way, if you think someone's talking rubbish, tell me exactly why you think they're talking rubbish. I would be much more easily persuaded than hearing three different versions of, I think they're talking rubbish. I won't repeat the words that we use. So give us your arguments. That's always more interesting for me. 20 to 6.
John Perlman
on 702.
3 to 6 p.m.
So we're going to play some music a little bit later in the show. Most popular songs, I think it's fair to say, start with a musical introduction. And we always check out the intros. They're usually around 30 seconds long. But some songs, they just get straight in with the singing. So we're going to give you an example of one of those. And then we're going to ask you songs that start straight off with the singer. Do you have a favorite, or do you have some that have just caught your ear that you'd like to share with us? So here's Bon Jovi just to get us going. Okay, so it's very much vocals first without the music. That's what we're looking for, and there's some great examples of that. We just thought, that's a nice little thread in music. It's an interesting little musical genre. I don't think it's a genre really, but a musical thing. And if you've got something to add to the list that we've already put together, we'd much rather play your selection than play ours. 702 Drive, 18 minutes to 6. Let's give you the latest sport.
EWN Sport.
Anthony Teixeira, we got tennis on the go, yeah?
Yeah, good afternoon. That's right, John. Marta Kuszczak as well as Linda Noskova have set up a Wimbledon semi-final showdown. Kuszczak beat Jasmine Paolini 6-3, 6-2. Meanwhile, in the quarterfinal, Noskova saw off Elise Mertens 6-3, 7-5. Here's Kuszczak.
First time playing on this unbelievable court, and obviously dream come true. Winning here was not even in the plans today. I just wanted to go out, enjoy, and put on a good show. It's always incredible to play in front of packed stadium, and here I feel like it's always packed. So thank you so much, guys, for your energy today.
Live on court, Alexander Zverev has won the first set against Taylor Fritz 6-4 and is currently behind a 4-3 in the second set. In the other match on centre court, we do have Arthur Ferry with a 6-4 win in the first set and currently has gone to a tiebreak between himself and Flavio Cobolli. Let's move now to cricket, where the ICC have contacted the English Cricket Board over potential breach of regulations regarding Ben Stokes' recent international retirement announcement. The controversy stems from filmed footage of Stokes addressing his teammates in the dressing room before play on the fourth day of the third test against New Zealand. The ICC alleges that recording and broadcasting this video contravenes its strict standards, which prohibit recording equipment inside player dressing rooms during international matches with the purpose of broadcasting video or audio footage. In rugby, Springboks Moby unit coach Duan van Meulen says they've made a calculated risk in naming a side with fewer caps than usual for their Nations Championship clash against Scotland.
I wouldn't say it's a gamble. You know, the guys who get the opportunity to play, we definitely think they're good enough. We've got a lot of guys with a lot less caps, but we've got the calm heads of Peter Steff and a Jesse and a Andre that, you know, that can calm those nerves if there are any. There's a bit more of an excitement in the squad this weekend than usual.
And in boxing, BBC reporting Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua's heavyweight bouts could be held overnight at Wembley to be best suited for American audiences. The fight is mooted for October or November later this year. Wembley does have a curfew of 11 p.m, although a formal request can be made to local authorities. Anthony Teixeira, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Coming up now for 5:45, this EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now. And you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Karamo Chali, what's happening?
Well, a lot is happening. Let me start southwestern township. That's in Meadowlands. There's a serious accident involving a minibus taxi on Reverend Fred Modise Street. That's near the Modise house, causing more than an hour delay all the way from Orlando. So avoid the Soweto Highway and Fred Modise Street. Heading into Soweto as well, traffic sluggish in Nooit Gesig, N17 westbound from the N1 to the Soweto Highway. Sunning Hill, we still have those roadworks causing heavy delays approaching the intersection of Rivonia Road and Witkoppen. Alex, expect about a 20-minute delay. N3 southbound from Marlborough Drive to the Geldenhuys interchange. Boksburg traveling towards Brakpan. Traffic remains sluggish. N12 eastbound, this is approaching Roundabout. This is due to ongoing roadworks. Also in Northcliffe, expect some delays on Beyers Nodia between Judges and the N1. Tshwane, Irene, there's about a 20-minute delay on a main road approaching Nelmapiers Drive. Centurion also expect some delays on the N1 northbound from John Foster to the R21 Flying Saucer interchange. And finally, if you're leaving the Pretoria CBD, traffic remains congested in Hermanstad on Eskiam Patlele between WF Nkomo and the R80. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
This winter, the price to refill your gas heater may have gone up along with everything else, but switch to Outsurance and you could actually drop your car insurance premium. You could save big, like 58-year-old Loretta, who saves a whopping 479 Rand a month on her 2017 BMW 320. Don't pay more than you need to. Get a quote to switch and save with Outsurance. Do it today. SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. Outsurance, licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive. Okay, we have been asking you to send us songs and to give us some idea of songs that you absolutely love, where we don't start off with the instruments. You know, there's usually like a 25, 30-second lead in and then the singers come in. We're looking for songs where they come straight in, like this one. Shot Through the Heart, Bon Jovi from 1984. That's our pick to get us started. I see lots of you are coming in with some great tracks. Looking forward to playing as many as we can. 7:02 Drive, it's 11 minutes to 6.
Aubrey Masango.
Weekday evenings.
8 to midnight.
We are in a very good space with regards to the work that the Madlanga Commission is doing and the revelations that are coming out. But I would argue that we dare not lose our vigilance. Most of us would say, man, we should be positive, brew, man. Hey, have a positive outlook, brew, man. Sure, I'm happy for a positive outlook. But we, the Republic of South Africa, are the focus of a global players from the east to the west, from the north to the south, that are looking to take a piece of the South African pie.
Aubrey Masango.
8 to midnight on 702.
702.
The 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk is calling on you to walk with the people for the people on Sunday, 26 July. Babize Bonke. And this year you can choose from 3 different inner city routes. The 5-kilometer Victoria Yards route takes you from Ellis Park through the inspirational Joburg Cricket Club into Victoria Yards and past the Troyville Hotel. You then finish off at Ellis Park. So whether you're taking on the 5K, 8-kilometer or 15-kilometer route, enter now on primemediaplus.com and get ready for the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Johannesburg.
Ready to go?
No, can't.
Your mother raised you. She can look after him for one day.
But he's just your baby.
He's 7.
Just your baby.
I've packed his favorite toy and blanket.
Okay, just grab his Hills food.
Always.
We know that you only want the best for your small dog, which is why Hills has developed expert, science-backed nutrition to meet the unique needs of small dogs and help them live their best lives across their longer lifespans. Hills Pet Nutrition. Science does more.
Score big with the Checkers XXL Savings Championship with over 150 million rand in weekly extra savings. Get the bakery mini croissants 10 per pack, 2 for 99 rand. Olive Joy vegetable oil blend with extra virgin olive oil, 1 litre, 2 for 129 rand. And a new 2-ply toilet rolls 9 per pack for 59.99. Valid until 12 July, only at Checkers.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
I changed my world. I changed my world. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Senzo Nadona. No more pain and no sorrow. Senzo Nadona.
Hi, John. I will go for Ukomboch from Yvonne Chaka Chaka. I remember that song. It was my birthday. Once that song just started with Wemba Njombe and a heavy rain started.
I changed my world. I changed.
Yeah, the opening to Umkomboti by Von Chaka Chaka, taking us all the way back to, I think, 1987, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, that opening deep voices without any music in the background. Fabulous. Okay, here's another one from Normsa, who brings Whitney Houston into the conversation.
If I should stay, I would only be in your way, so I'll go, but I know I'll think of you every step of the way.
And I will always love you. Will always love you, my darling, you.
First recorded by Dolly Parton and beautifully covered by Whitney Houston. Recorded, by Dolly Parton back in '73. Whitney Houston doing it a good few years later. Let's stay with songs where the music comes in, rather the singer comes in and the music follows. Here's another one.
Good evening, John and the team. Deborah here from Pretoria. Regarding the songs, that starts with singing. James Brown, I Feel Good.
I feel good. I knew that I wouldn't. I feel good. I knew that I wouldn't. So good, so good. I got you. Wow, I feel nice. A sugar and spice. I feel nice, like sugar and spice. So nice, so nice, I got you.
So James Brown doesn't do vocals in the beginning for very long before the instruments come in. But boy, that couple of seconds, he really sets the scene. Interestingly enough, I don't think many people have covered this song, and I wonder why. Maybe they're just saying, hey, listen, where are we going to go with this? I know it's been sampled quite a bit. Not too many covers, though, that I know of recorded of James Brown and I Feel Good. Let's hear some more of your suggestions.
Hi, Uncle John. My song is Soon As I Get Home by Liz Wright. Yvonne from Pretoria.
There's a feeling here inside that I cannot hide, and I know I've tried, but it's turning me around. I'm not sure if I'm aware, if I'm up or down or here or there. I need both feet on the ground. Maybe I'm just going crazy. I let myself get uptight. I'm acting just like a baby.
The sounds of Liz right there. Mark sends us this one. Paul Simon and Ladysmith, Black Mambazo. I think you know the title.
She's a rich girl, she don't try to hide it. Diamonds on the soles of her shoes. He's a poor boy, empty as a pocket. Empty as a pocket with nothing to lose. Sing ta-na-na, ta-na-na-na. She got diamonds on the soles of her shoes. Ta-na-na, ta-na-na-na. She got diamonds on the soles of her shoes. 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 Diamonds on the soles of her shoes.
Off the Graceland album, Diamonds on the Soles of Her Shoes. Jermaine says, this one, Shy, If I Ever Fall in Love. And M says, John, I thought you were going to sign off on Elvis Presley's Stuck on You. and John Forster would be turning in his grave. I don't understand the reference. Bang me a quick note on that, M, just so I know exactly what you are referring to there. We've got a couple more songs. Yes, we do. Let's hear.
Afternoon, early evening, Bro John. One song that springs to mind, which I love so much, old song in the 70s, is by Harry Belafonte. Deo, Deo, daylight come, I wanna go home. It's daylight, I wanna come home. Deo, Harry Belafonte. Beautiful one. Thanks, Bro John. Great show as always. Bye. Lebo, Randberg.
Daylight come and me want go home. Work all night and a drink a rum.
Yeah, I don't really want to go home, but hey, I have to because it's the end of the show. Thank you so much for spending time with us on 702 Drive. The Money Show is next, so you need to stay with 702. I'm John Perlman. Have a great Wednesday evening. Good night.
And now, The Money Show
On 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Kurtis is brought to you by ABSA Awards. Get double cash back when an African team scores and wins at the FIFA World Cup 2026, courtesy of Visa. T's and C's apply. Ray in for Stephen this evening. Well, the big story, of course, the Middle East is at war once again. And this has sent markets into a tailspin, looking at what this means for our local economy. Then a new index has found that CEOs are not keeping their companies up to date with the latest